It's Monday morning. Good morning and welcome to the AM show on Joy News, your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Benjamin Akapo.
C'est autre lundi. Bonjour à vous tous. Je m'appelle Benjamin Akapo.
Je m'appelle Bon.
Et tu t'appelles?
Oh, comment? Je m'appelle Bon.
Non. Appeler, s'appeler.
Sisi Abochi.
Exactement.
You know what? Why are you springing French on me this morning, Benjamin Akapo?
The part of town you come from is pretty close to, so we have to do this from time to time.
On my good days, I can speak French.
On your good days, But I say, and then a network and article. Well, welcome aboard. It's 12 days more to election 2024. This is your home of independent, fearless and credible journalism. Of course, that's what we stand for. But what can we look forward to today? Right.
This morning, of course, we'll start right with the AM news, bringing you the latest updates on all the stories and events happening in and around the country. After that, we'll sit with our guest. Today's Monday, Musah Dankwah, a former General Secretary of the CPP. She'll be joining us, as well as Dr. Parl, spokesperson on governance and security. They'll be joining us to review the newspapers and the stories captured in there. And then Muftan Abil Abdullah will come your way with AM Sports. And after that, we get into our big stories.
Well, I did tell you about it's being 12 days to the elections. But what are the polls saying? Now, different polls have come through with different things. The numbers, the data, what are they saying? 12 days to go as the new poll puts Dr. Bawumia ahead of former President John Dramani Mahama with a potential runoff in the upcoming elections. But the question is, what has changed? Has anything, in fact, changed? What are the polls saying? Well, we'll be telling you a lot more about that this morning on the AM show.
And after that, we'll break down the issues. The National Health Insurance Authority is beginning to roll out the free dialysis treatment. And what are really the modalities and how is the NHIA prepared to deal with these emerging issues nationwide? Join us with your comments and your thoughts across social media platforms with your Joy News on TV. Around the world and across Ghana's 16 regions, this is the AM show. You want to stay with us till 10 a.m.? Let's get into the AM news now. This is the AM show, and this segment is the AM news. Let's get into the details. Starting with Musah Dankwah, a 27-year-old woman whose lifelong dream of becoming a caterer was tragically derailed due to a road accident. A speeding vehicle with failed brakes plowed through her path, leaving her with right hand broken and her aspirations shattered. But amidst the heartbreak, Ethel is now on the path to recovery, courageously picking up the pieces. My colleague Adobe Asari interacted with her and tells us the story.
I was a shopkeeper. So that day, then I closed from work. It was around 7:30 p.m. in the evening. I wasn't near the road. I was somewhere standing there. So I didn't say let me say as a cab, I feel a break. But when it was coming towards my direction, I didn't know. So the car ball.
All I heard was that the car's brake had failed. It knocked two people down before hitting me. It dragged me from where I stood to the other side of the road. I came to the realization that I was under the car with my right hand under the tire.
The hospital, how was the journey being like?
It wasn't easy. Pains, suffering. I cried every night because of pain. Because my son, and I had cuts on my thigh. Yeah.
I really suffered.
Can you show us your hand?
This is the skin drops in the
Are you able to use it for something?
For now, I function well. It's not like this one, but I managed to do some things with it. Almost say,
now my hand isn't functioning properly. I've been advised to try to use it, otherwise it wouldn't function at all.
So they makes me active.
The Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly recorded a reduction in road fatalities by 37% last year, according to the 2023 Kumasi Road Safety Report. Metro Chief Executive Samuel Pine says initiatives to keep roads in the city safe are paying off, with a consistent low fatality recorded in recent annual reports. There's more.
Data of the Kumasi Road Safety Report 2023 were collected from 13 police stations in Kumasi, where 83 fatalities were recorded, involving 61% pedestrian knockdowns and 25% of motorcycle accidents. According to the report, the risk period were between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. at top 5 locations of Angloga Junction, Silicon Hotel Junction on the Accra Road, Santasi Station, Otinkwanta and Sofoline Station. The high-risk corridors in the Greater Kumasi metropolis, according to the report, are the Asafo Interchange to Tech Junction, the Sunyani Corridor, the Kwai Corridor, and the Eastern Bypass. Kingsley Rekon is Road Injury Surveillance Coordinator at the Kumasi Metropolitan Assembly.
Based on the data, in 2023, there were 84 fatalities, road traffic fatalities. With them, 61% were pedestrians. In fact, in Kumasi, pedestrians are they have the highest proportion in terms of fatality, followed by motorcycles, which was 25% of the fatalities. In terms of the risk period, from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. was a high risk period for fatalities. In terms of the location, for top 5 crash locations, we have Angloga Junction, followed by Silicon Hotel Junction on the Accra Road. We have Santasi Station. So what we actually want is that this data, we don't want the data to be in shelves. We want the road agencies to use the data.
In other stories, National Chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, has disclosed that the NDC will complete all projects initiated by the NPP except for the National Cathedral. And he said projects embarked upon by governments are funded from the taxpayers. Therefore, allowing them to rot will be at a disadvantage to the people and the communities. Johnson Asiedu Nketia made the disclosure at Welembele in the Sala East constituency, and Rafiq Salam reports.
National Chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, started his 2-day retail campaign tour of the Upper West region at Welembele in the Sala East constituency. Despite the NDC winning over 80% of the presidential votes in the constituency in the last elections, the party, led by Mohamed Issa Batagalia, however lost the Sala East parliamentary seat. Mohamed Batagalia is back in the race and is confident little luck will smile on him this time round.
We are Sisales. Sisale literally means that builders. We want to join hands with him as a Gonja man, with Chairman General supporting us strongly to build Ghana, build Sisale East, and establish Welembele to a level that will invite investors to open up the economic opportunities of the area.
National Chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, averred that the signs are clear that the NDC will win next month's elections. He disclosed that the NDC will complete all unfinished projects initiated by the NPP except the National Cathedral project.
We believe that it is our money that any government uses to start those projects. So whether they are started by us or they are started by another government, if we leave them to rot, we are hurting the community. So when we come, whatever projects they may have started, apart from the National Cathedral, all the other projects, we will look at them and then see to it that we complete them.
Reporting for J News, Rafiq Salam, Welembele.
Moving on, aggrieved customers of defunct Menzgold are intensifying fresh pressure on the government, demanding swift action on their locked-up investment. The group has issued a 24-hour ultimatum calling for a 200 million Ghana cedis bailout. They have vowed to punish the government at the polls on December 7th if their demands are not met before Election Day. The customers are arguing or urging the government to use frozen properties of NAM1 to fund the bailout as legal proceedings continue. Speaking at an emergency meeting in Accra, the group's PRO, Fred Forson, made a direct appeal to President Akufo-Addo and the Finance Minister for urgent intervention. Carlos Caloni has the rest of the story.
The Christ Apostolic Church Auditorium in La Paz was charged with emotions as frustrated Menzgold customers sought divine intervention to compel the government to address their plight. The group claims over 200 members have lost their lives since 2018, and many others are struggling to care for their families and personal health due to their inability to access their funds.
I couldn't even get none of my money because the day I started, and that was the day that Menzgold collapsed. So I didn't got anything from there. So due to the, we are moving up and down through our money, and then we went to NAM1's house for my money. And then as we went there, police people came there to chase us, and then I fell on the road. And then to do that, then I had an eye problem. Now I can't see anymore.
If they are saying that we should vote for them, no problem. We are hungry. I cannot go to vote with empty stomach. My people, everyone in my family, because I've been taking care of some people. After I invest my money there, that is my last hope. That was my last hope at that time. I'm a rice farmer in the Buta region. I take 50% to do the business. In 4 or 3 months, you have to pay. If you don't, so at that time, I tried to commit suicide 3 times.
Speaking to the press, PRO of the group, Fred Forson, issued a 24-hour ultimatum at the emergency meeting demanding a government pronouncement on their latest bailout request.
We are asking the government to give us a bailout, and because we don't know the outcome of the court case, President should look upon the items, the assets that have been frozen by the state, and give us a bailout. At least $200 million can solve, can help us for now, can cushion us. And so by tomorrow, by close of work tomorrow, we want the president to give us a bailout. We want the finance minister to announce, just as he did for the fund management companies. They were giving 1.5. We are asking for just 200 million to cushion us, to enable us to go and cast our vote on the 7th of December.
Mr. Forson also expressed grave disappointment in Parliament, criticizing its inability to prioritize their concerns about the locked-up funds 6 years on.
It is very sad that for the past 4 years, since 2021, the Parliament of the Republic of Ghana, they have disappointed us. So far, today the 24th of November, we have never heard from them in respect of the state of our petition. The motion was filed on the 3rd of November 2021. As we speak, nothing has been heard from them.
The customers whose funds have been locked up since 2018 vow to teach the government a bitter lesson at the polls if their demands are ignored. For Joy News, Carlos Caloni, Accra.
Either we are giving a bailout or a rollout.
The Member of Parliament for Yendi, Farouk Aliu Mahama, has stated that the commissioning of 60 newly constructed lockable market stores in Yendi symbolizes the new patriotic party's commitment to transforming the local economy. He noted that the new stores would provide a conducive environment for traders to conduct their business. And speaking at the commissioning ceremony in Yendi, the MP added that the well-structured pavement would also ensure easy navigation for traders.
The Ghana Secondary Sisters Support Program is part of an overall effort by government to improve urban management and provision of basic urban service in cities and towns. The 5-year program is supported by the World Bank with a total of about $100,000. Speaking at the commissioning of the market stores, the MP for Yendi Farouk Ali Muhammad said the commission is a reflection of the commitment of the Nanado-led government to improve infrastructure of the country.
The government of Ghana, led by His Excellency Nanado Dankwah, the Vice President Dr. Alhaji Mahmoud Bawumia, the local government authority, the contractors, and all involved, my good self, the regional minister, the MC, in bringing this project to fruition. Our collective dedication and commitment shaping the infrastructure that will serve for the community for years to come. 4 markets are the livelihood of our communities. These are not hereby places of commerce. They are vibrant hubs where families gather, culture, and livelihoods are built. Today, the introduction of 6 lockable stores, we have taken a momentum step toward creating and securing a conducive environment for our trading mothers. These lockable stores will not only protect our vendors' goods, but also foster the sense of security that is encourage more enterprises to thrive in the market.
The Northern Regional Minister, Shani Al-Hassan Shaibu, urged the traders to maintain the stores to ensure its longevity. The municipal chief executive for Yendi outlined some of the projects they have undertaken.
A 30-unit local stores with a banking house being under construction at Zamzu station in Yendi. And that one is costing us 3,833,802.70 dialysis. The next one is what we call the welcome house. A commercial facility is being constructed at Muntuli at the previous petrol gas station. And that is costing us 6,325,500 dialysis.
10-year-old Lisa Laye's fight against leukemia has arrived in South Africa, hoping for a life-saving bone marrow transplant. Her treatment, fully funded by the CEO of Engineers and Planners, Ibrahim Mahama, has given her family renewed hope. Emmanuel Jivenu captures the emotional moments of her departure.
It's about 5 a.m. Sunday, and little Lisa is wheeled out of the Rich Hospital. The ambulance takes Lisa to Kotoka International Airport, with her loved ones following in a convoy. The 10-year-old once lit her home with laughter, but she's now locked in the fight against leukemia. Her family sold almost everything to save her, until the CEO of Engineers and Planners and Jata Cement, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama, stepped in to cover the over $100,000 treatment costs. At the airport, her family gathers for prayers.
We thank you, and we know everything has done.
Amid hug and whispered words of encouragement, her mother struggles to hold back tears.
My girl has a chance to life again, because all hope was lost. We didn't know how we were going to be able to raise that amount to treat her and to pay for all our bills, our accommodation, everything. We are very much grateful to Mr. Ibrahim Mahama. She's excited. She's looking forward to the treatment. She wants to go back to school. So she's very happy and very optimistic.
Among those at the airport is the man who made it all possible, Mr. Ibrahim Mahama. He has personally come to see Lisa off, ensuring she had the emotional support she needed. Doctors advised that Lisa is given specialized care and safety of an air ambulance, an expense Mr. Ibrahim Mahama fully covered.
We have a boss and we have a father in Mr. Ibrahim Mahama who has that empathy towards humanity. He has given everything else. The doctors are on standby in South Africa. As soon as they arrive there, the procedure will start, and we hope and we pray by the grace of God, everything will go and Lisa will be back stronger.
As the air ambulance takes off, carrying Lisa to South Africa, the family stands watching with prayers in their hearts and tears in their eyes. For Lisa's family, this journey represents hope. Hope for recovery. Hope for laughter to return to their home. And hope that one day Lisa will achieve her dream of helping others fight cancer. Emmanuel Jiveno, Joy News, Kotoka Airport.
We wish Lisa all the very best and await her return back to Ghana. Now, the Asante Otumfuo Osei II has received 28 regalia artifacts looted during the Sagranti War as part of the 100-year anniversary celebration of King Prempeh I's return from exile in Seychelles. The artifacts that got into the custody of an art collector of West African works in 1922 were purchased by Anglo Gold Ashanti in 2000. The artifacts, padlocks for treasury and traditional regalia, were returned to the Asante Hene by the management of Anglo Gold Ashanti after several negotiations at a ceremony held in the Musah Palace in Kumasi. Musah Dankwah has more.
In the 18th century, when the British colonial government broke into the Ashanti Kingdom, they made way with some artifacts. Well, today, the Asante Hene, in celebrating the return of King Agyeman Prempeh I from exile in Seychelles, who was also taken away by the British colonial government, the Asante Hene has received some of these looted artifacts, 28 of them, which include rings and some liquid stuffs. These artifacts were presented to the Asante Hene during a mini derby in honor of King Agyeman Prempeh I. Ivor Ajimandria is an associate director of the Musah Palace Museum. He spoke about the return of these artifacts and what they signify when it comes to the Ashanti Kingdom setup.
They traveled to Europe and got into the hands of an art collector of West African works who was based in Geneva. And after many years, in 1922, when he acquired this, he turned other objects in West Africa that he had collected, about 350 other objects in West Africa, and turned this collection into a museum. They are 28 in all, but they define court architecture in terms of tangible objects, rings, linguist staff, gold weights, and others that, including even the palace lock, I'm sure for locking the treasury.
This is the event that is being hosted today, the 100-year event celebrated at the Musah Palace in Kumasi, which has the president of Seychelles, Revo Wankalawan, and his wife here at the Musah Palace. The Asante Hene hosted him alongside other dignitaries who joined him as part of the celebration.
Seychelles and Ghana formally established diplomatic relations in October 1988. But historically, the bonds of friendship between the two countries can be traced back to the exile of the late King Prempeh I to Seychelles from 1900.
The President is very, very excited to be here, especially to commemorate the 100 years since the return of King Prempeh I to Seychelles. As you know, he was exiled there. So it's a huge moment for us, and it's a first state visit by the President.
On that note, let's get into our business updates with Benjamin Akakpo.
Welcome to Business. In our first story, the Bank of Ghana has announced it will begin its Monetary Policy Committee meetings from the 25th of November 2024 to announce a new policy rate. Ahead of the meeting, financial economist Professor Lord Mensah is hopeful the lending rate will be kept unchanged at 25%. According to him, inflation over the past few months has been recording marginal increments, therefore the need to be measured when lowering the policy rate. He spoke to Joy Business.
Yeah, so you can see inflation has started, building up again. The last time I saw inflation numbers, we're talking about month-on-month, 33% thereabout. And clearly it tells you that, yes, the policy committee looking at the trend are likely to maintain, the policy rate or possibly increase, the policy rate, together with government being on the market looking for money every now and then through treasury bills. They cannot afford to bring the policy rate down. If they do that, they may not attract the necessary funds that is supposed to be. So having these two, forces, putting them together, the policy committee is likely to maintain or possibly increase, the policy rate. And of course, it is not good for the supply side of the market, which has to do with, lending to individuals and businesses.
Now, the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Railway Development Authority, Yao Owusu, is calling on investors and businesses to take advantage of developments in the railway sector to expand economic activities to other parts of the country. According to him, the movement of the trains along the Tema-Akosombo route and linking to the northern parts of the country and Burkina Faso will attract the movement of settlements and trade. He was speaking at a ceremony to launch the 2 diesel multiple unit trains and the Tema and Pakadan railway line.
One might ask, what are the other benefits to the immediate communities and the country as a whole? Traditionally, railway lines are built in anticipation of demographic and economic growth. I would therefore invite business communities to take advantage of this incredible and viable project. For example, real estate developers can build residential properties to decongest other parts of Greater Accra. Other business opportunities include, but not limited to, the construction of factories for manufacturing activities and bonded warehouse along the line to decongest the Tama port.
And that's what I'll be serving you this morning as far as business is concerned. Handing over back to Sweetie Amochi.
Well, thank you, Benjamin. You want to stay with us because the news review comes right up. Nana Yachapim Jantwa is joining us. She's former General Secretary of the CPP, and Dr. Parl, Musah Dankwah, government spokesperson on governance and security, joining us to review the newspapers. We're back in a bit.
It's the news review belt of the AM show. We're grateful you've taken the time to stay with us here. And our guest in the studio will connect with our other guests shortly. But Dr. Parl Musah Dankwah is here. He's government spokesperson on governance and security. Good morning.
Good morning, Benjamin.
I hope you're well.
I'm doing very well, thank you. And I hope you're well.
I don't think you want to ask that. You heard the conversations I was having before we went on air. So maybe it's a slippery slope for you. But I have a question.
But I should ask how you're doing.
Ghana for. I'm sure you know how I'm doing. When it comes to electricity, there's a worrying trend. Too many neighborhoods keep calling me. Yesterday, I got another 2 calls. The Spintex Nungwa area. And one area got a power outage and let's say for some hours, and then later they got another power outage. And the situation was that, they were on, I don't know, they are in between, so they get affected from both ends. And I found that pretty surprising. I don't even know whether the lights came back on. I am not ECG. No, I am not ECG, but I'm a concerned Ghanaian, and people reach out to me about some of these matters. So I don't know. What's your power situation If you had power overnight, let me know. If you didn't, let me know. But over to you, Paul Grave, your thoughts.
So a very good morning to you, Sweetie, and to Benjamin and to the Ghanaian people. And yes, of a truth, there are a few challenges with power. I have been seeing that the acting managing director of ECG held a conversation over the weekend on your network and reassured Ghanaians that the payment structure to one of the IPPs has been replanned. And so hitherto paying on a monthly basis, now on a weekly basis, government is paying the particular IPPs. And so in a very short time, the following weeks, we should see that the power challenge is restored.
Okay. Would that be your brief comments for us this morning?
Brief comment on
what Ben said. Okay, but we can
so I was handing over to you to share your thoughts with us on anything pertinent that the usual bits we do.
Oh, the usual bits. Okay. Well, for me, I think that election 2024 is key. The peace of the election, the smooth transfer of power, the minimal misinformation, disinformation that is associated with it, the fact that people should go and exercise their democratic rights and franchise on the 7th of December, that no one should be intimidated whatsoever in making the decision that they make. And my hope and prayer is that the blue candidate, which is Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, would emerge as the winner in the president-elect of this election.
Okay. Brief and straight to the point. I have the Ghanaian Times newspaper, and I want to start here. At GMA graduation, President Akufo-Addo says, I will ensure smooth transition of power. And the EC has disposed of defective ballot papers. Association of All Marketing Companies unveil new identity as COMAG. Let's get into the papers. Radio TV presenter in trouble for allegedly publishing false news. And this is on page 3. Kumasi-based radio and television presenter has been arrested for offences, including publication of false news by the police to assist in investigation on Saturday. That's a suspect, Oneba Nana Esiedu, a presenter at Wuntumi TV and FM. We also saw the video circulated on social media, so it's good news that the police have picked him up and investigations are ongoing. It's dangerous. It's just 12 days to election to be misinforming, or in this case, disinforming
Exactly.
people. Yeah, there's a big difference.
Because it's intentional.
Misinforming information is just accidental, a mistake. You don't know, so you're just putting out information out there. But disinformation, you're intentionally misleading people, and that's where the danger is. Farmer jailed for 10 years for defiling 15-year-old. Driver gets 15 years for robbery, and police chase La Paz Forex Bureau attempted robbery suspect. Looks like the police have been busy. On international front, International Persons with Disability Empowerment Conference opened in Accra on Thursday, okay? Minister for Gender advocates full potential of vulnerable groups. Majority requests Speaker to recall Parliament to consider urgent government business. Let me get a bit into this. The Majority Caucus in Parliament has requested of the Speaker of Parliament, Alwyn Bagbin, to recall the House to consider urgent government businesses. A memo dated 22nd November and signed by the Majority Leader, Alexander Penyo-Markin, listed 6 items for consideration for the proposed 2-day meeting. Will the Speaker heed this call? We wait to see. And let me run through the remaining stories here, and then I'll come to you, Dr. Parl Dankwa. At GMA graduation, I will ensure smooth transition of power. That's what the president is saying. The president, Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo, says he will transition from office with the utmost respect for the country's democratic processes, stressing that he is committed to ensuring that the will of the citizenry prevails in the December 7th polls. Mahama ends Eastern Region campaign. Former President John Dramani Mahama, presidential candidate of the NDC, has ended his campaign tour of the Eastern Region. And Petroleum Commission awards $3.6 billion local contract, says the director. So the Petroleum Commission has so far awarded over $3.6 billion worth of contracts to indigenous Ghanaian companies That's the Director for Local Content, PC, Mr. Kweku Boateng, has announced. Again, about 8.7 billion worth of contracts had been awarded to foreign companies, while 6.3 billion went into joint ventures. Bonkatamansu Imam Council stakeholders discuss peaceful elections, and police are ready to ensure violence-free polls. On the back page, Kotoko bounced back with a win over Idiana Stars, and Instructorman hold hats in Accra. These and many other stories you can catch in the Ghanaian Times newspaper. But Parl, which of these pique your interest, and which one will you reflect on?
So, I mean, I think three things for me. The president's commitment for smooth transition of power, very key, and he's reiterated that over and over again. And that's very commendable by the president. And finally, for me, would be Parliament's recall. I think that there are urgent matters that must be attended to, government businesses, and so we look forward to Speaker Bagbin heeding to the call. And finally, the strong stance of the police to really tackle mis and disinformation. I mean, for me, I think that is very key. Last week, the Election Security Task Force met, and the IGP was very forthright in stating that he's the commander for this election, and he's going to fight head-on anyone that mis and disinforms the public. And so we commend the piece by the police, and also we know there's a lot of work, and treat that everybody, please. I mean, in the serenity of peace, try not to mis and disinform the Ghanaian people.
You said three things. I said...
Yeah, I mentioned all the three.
Benjamin, let's do your paper now.
Well, let's get into the Daily Graphic newspaper quickly. President commissions Oil Service Center in Takoradi. Ibrahim Mahama pays for 10-year-old leukemia patients treatment in South Africa. There's this quote there by Plato, who says, one of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. It's on the front page. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Election 2024. Who takes the central region? There's an interesting piece here giving the historical antecedents of these elections, with the NPP scoring more wins in that region. Recall Parliament for two-day urgent business, Majority Leader urges Speaker, and IGP leads police delegation to foster close relationship with churches. On the back page, of course, Kotoko end losing streak with 2-0 win. Kerala United shock Dreams FC at home, and Hearts of Oak held by Nswatreman FC. So let's get the details of the stories. The Central Region, like Greater Accra, is one of the most sought-after electoral prizes for the Jubilee House in this year's election due to its inconsistent voting pattern. The region, seen by many as a key and predictable die for its unclear party loyalty, has historically swung between the two major political parties, the NPP and the NDC. So without boring you with all the details in there, you would see that from 1996, the NPP secured some 43.32%, with the NDC securing 55+%. In 2000, it was 49.67% for the NPP, and then about 48+ for the NDC. Then the NPP won it in 2004 with about 58%, 2008 with 50%+. The NPP fell in 2012, 45%+, won again in 2016, 53%+, and in 2020 won again with 52%+. So if you look at the tail of the tape, it's an interesting region, and no matter how crucial other regions like Ashanti, Volta, Bono, and other areas may be, the Central Region is crucial in there. Kenya Council's $2.5 billion deal with Adani after U.S. indictment, and heavy gunfire erupts in South Sudan's capital of Juba. Let me do a few more local stories, and then I will get Doc to react to them. Let me go to page 16. We are taking decisive action on illegal mining, President assures nation. President Akufo-Addo has given the assurance that his government has taken decisive action on illegal mining, otherwise known as galamsey, to avert the destruction it is causing the nation. As part of the efforts, he said the government had adopted technological innovations, including a drone surveillance, as well as community partnership. I don't know, since you are the spokesperson on governance and security-related matters, which drones is the president speaking of? The drones that we can't find, the 200 for $3 million, $3 million, or these are new drones we are contracting for that purpose? Which is it?
Well, I mean, I haven't read the story, but
okay. Well, I thought you would. That's why maybe let me see whether we'll get those details. Okay, I think just he said this at the University of Environment and Sustainable Development. So I guess it was a comment in passing. Maybe he didn't get into those details. At least I don't see that here. Yeah. Any reactions on these?
Well, I think it's interesting for this year's election, the percentages that are coming out from the various regions and even surveys and reports that are coming out from researchers. It's a very close-knit election, and we just hope that we get a best candidate, a good ethical leader to be able to lead this country. And we've seen the surveys and the predictions. Very close-knit, but
how confident are you in yourself?
I'm, you know, for me, I think I will take the stance of President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo when he makes a statement that the best survey is on the day of the election, and that the polls may be able to predict, but on that very day of the election, people would make decisions because. But I'm confident that. Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia would emerge the president-elect.
Sweetie, do you know what I find interesting? Some people have said that, it could go into a runoff. Similar things were said about the American election. I disagree. It's not going to even be close. I think whoever wins is going to win with...
And what are you inferring this from? What are you basing this on?
Oh, based on my interactions with people.
Okay.
Based on going out there, feeling the temperature of people's pockets and different things, based on so many different dynamics. I don't want to get into them, but I don't feel it's going to be, I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't feel this election will go into a runoff. This is me speaking for myself. I don't feel it is. And I feel the margin is going to be clear enough for whatever,
I would have
purposes.
said it would be a very tight contest, but then
I
again, I want
so.
to leave my opinion out of this.
I don't think so.
Let's see what happens.
Same thing we said with, Trump and Kamala, it's measuring, he showed her, he showed her level. I mean, though I was rooting for her. But let me just wrap with this. Politics, building trust, road to election 2024. So a number of people, including someone I know, Prosper Kwashi shares his thoughts there. He says, ensuring a free, fair and transparent process is paramount. The EC plays a vital role in achieving this, but trust and consensus among political parties are essential for smooth and credible electoral processes. So you can check out details from there. Look out for umbrella on election day. Mahama urges voters. That's partly on the back of some of those seeking to disinform. Campaign on issues, not insults. NCCE to parliamentary candidates. And the NCCE waded into that, Ohneba, the Wuntumi presenter's issue with a statement. Women advised not to stay in violent relationships. Pacho, Obawasum first one, likely a second one will continue. No, but Paul Grave, on a more serious note, from experience, psychologically, though I've read reports where, look, if he starts beating you, unless it's some blip, it's some whatever, if the trend goes on for a while, Charlie, because I've seen people. My church is against divorce completely. But I've seen situations where, Charlie, I've had to tell the person, the next thing is likely death. So at this point, I don't think God wants you to die. So I don't know. That thing, I feel very...
I don't think you shouldn't wait. You should wait for a trend to even set. The first sign you see, the first feeling...
Exactly what I'm saying.
You have a gut feeling that this isn't good for you. You run. Now, please, if someone beats you, beat him all. I'm saying,
fire for fire,
Listen, I think the shock from, retaliating like that will let the person think twice, and then you can decide whether leave or stay.
So it's the counter-bullying theory.
That is what,
when they bully you and then you bully them back.
Empowering women, we're talking about also, you should take some classes, exercise, be strong. So when he lands one punch, you land two. I'm sorry, I'm not...
Under no circumstances, under no circumstances really should... either genders, either male or female, rent such havoc on a human being.
Yeah.
I am against domestic violence and an advocate for that. And so please.
Especially as someone who is trained in martial arts, you would have no business. As for you, you know, boxers, if a boxer does anything.
There's no way anyone should be involved in domestic violence. It's dehumanizing, please.
All right.
Let's get into your paper and then I'll come through with the final one I have.
So on the Daily Guide, the front page, Nana outdoors 100-kilometer Teman Pakadan railway line. MPP better managers of the economy. Dr. Razak Poku. I will leave legacy of peaceful elections. The IGP, Ekufu Dampari, exchanging greetings with some members of the clergy during his tour of churches in Accra. Mike Okwe Jr. gives Adentrebe community water. And then former Bono NPP organizer donates motorbikes constituency. 10-year-old leukemia patient gets support. And their inside stories of let's protect peace and security legacy. Nana, I will leave a peaceful election. The IGP campaign season songs, the butterflies, political flight, and the winds of change. A few more stories. 10-year-old leukemia patient gets support. And I really would want to commend the donor, Ibrahim Mahama, for this kind gesture. It's really commendable. Vote for Baumia, Kenneth Japan, Nana Outdoors 100-kilometer Tema Pakadan railway line, which is extremely commendable as well. Baumia paints Wale Wale blue, and I'll just go into that story quickly. The Wale Wale township came to a standstill when their kinsman and son, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, went there to campaign. Even before Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, the flag bearer of the ruling NPP in the December 7th elections, and members of his campaign got there. The entire community had been painted in the white, blue, and red colors of the NPP. He was given, okay, so let me just jump to the main story, which was the commissioning of the One District, One Factory watermelon processing plant. So before they could get there to Wale Wale through the lottery, to commission a Wale Wale processing factory under the One District, One Factory initiative, the over-enthusiastic youth once again beset the streets. I just want to get to the main story. Wale Wale factory, watermelon factory in Wale Wale, the project that was expected to process about 2,400 tons of the produce into concrete annually. Over 2,000 farmers will be engaged under the first phase of the project, which comes under the government's One District, One Factories initiative, with a targeted 2,000 acres of farmlands for watermelon. Phase 1 of the project will bring together 2,000 peasant farmers from across the Northeast region into a cooperative for an outgrower scheme. And we must commend government for this. Senate Seed countrywide tours end in Accra. Edu Chum is Minister of the Year by the NUCS president, and we commend the Minister for Education, especially when last week in a single day was able to commission 80 infrastructural progress with President Nana Dankwah. Astronomical. Yeah. The back page, TT Brothers whip for the Ghana football, Mourinho rubbishes Ronaldo move. So this is my paper. Okay.
I do want to get your thoughts on something. So, you know, the commentary coming in after the completion of the flower pot interchange, and I just heard you talk about the Tema Pakadan railway and all that. Would you agree that it's taking, I read a story, was it last week, Benjamin, read a story about tortoise pace in completion of projects, like, and so on and so forth.
Took about, is it 6+ years? Yes.
To
and the project moved from, was it 69 million Ghana cedis to 700 million?
Right. But I just want to know what you think about the commentary that you could have completed and commissioned all these projects somewhere years before we are now here in December 2024 going to the polls, and maybe it's the showmanship of it that we've done some work.
You know, Sweetie, for me as a governance student and a student of politics, there are tenors within which people have leadership, and in Ghana we have a 4-year tenor. I disagree with the schools of thoughts that people will state that government is either commissioning close to electioneering processes or government is either commissioning a day 2 of transition of power, because the governance process hasn't ended. And if government has been building all throughout the years, and it's just completing at the time that is closer to an election, people would think that it is because of the election that government is commissioning.
So it's a coincidence?
But no, I don't want to say it's a coincidence, but government hasn't ended. Government doesn't come to a standstill because it's an electioneering year. Government doesn't come to a standstill because government is transitioning into another government or transitioning power. And so we need to be able to look at that. And I heard Benjamin talk about the amount of money that was spent. And so let me just give some breakdown, because there was an original overview and government had a bit.
We've done the story about any expansions.
So there's no need for me to go into.
No, it's not that there's no need, but even with the expansions, are we getting value for money? There's a tussle between, is it the NRA and what's the other group? I've forgotten their name. I can check on it. But I think more transparency in these issues, because especially when I raised this point, I wasn't even talking about just that project. There are so many projects, and you remember the famous issues of MTN building certain classrooms under the former administration, certain classrooms for a certain cost, similar. And then government also putting up those same classrooms and the cost. It's the same bit that I'm talking about. That why is it that when it comes to public procurement is one of the most corrupt areas in this country. It's one of the areas that if any administration really wants to look at, one of the foremost, and you know it as a governance person, the reports point to it. Why is it that for a project that maybe a private individual would be able to put up for 1 million Ghana cedis, government would do the same project and put it up for about 3 million Ghana cedis?
But if what you have is a breakdown that explains the discrepancy, I'm curious to know what the explanation is.
Thank you very much, sweetie.
Where is this from, though, the source?
This is from government.
From government?
Yes, government did this. And so if I have to put it out, it's from government.
Okay.
So this is from government. So the flower pot...
This explains the discrepancies we are seeing in the figure that...
No, the figure is accurate, but this explains the details of it, okay? Right. And so if you... I will make it very brief. I mean, so the original cost, of course, was 2 overpasses. The first one is about a 60-meter overpass across the flower pot runabout, and then the second one was a 60-meter overpass across the motorway, and both were 2 lanes, and the original cost was 69 million Ghana cedis. And when we had to do the full scope of it, the final one is the main bridge of 802 meters, largely 4 lanes. The Shiashi ramp, 140 meters, 1 lane. The motorway slip ramp, 80 meters, 1 lane. The road through the old tunnel, the 200 meters access into cantonments, the dualization of the 2.5 kilometer of ground levels, and incorporating 2 runabouts with the fountain and street lights and the street furniture. And that brings us to about 677 million Ghana cedis. And so it's important that when you review...
Let me ask.
Can I finish?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's important that when you review projects and you add on to it, you come to account it to the Ghanaian people. I mean, any other government could have just decided that, well, this is the amount of money that we felt we could spend, 69 million Ghana cedis, but value for money, we can do a lot more, that there's no need to come again and reshape the roads. And so if government has spent this and it's accounting for it, 677 million Ghana cedis, not 700 million Ghana cedis.
Nearly. So the difference between 69 million
it's 600. No, but look at
the figures that were put out in the papers, including the daily graphic when we read this story, was 700 million.
Yeah, but
but look at the expansions. Originally it was 2 lanes. It was a second speed ramp.
Let me interject for a bit. If you were in opposition, would this surprise you?
It would not surprise me.
Thank you.
Right.
Benjamin.
I guess you've asked a very pertinent question, but I have two quick thoughts on this. One, the point being that if it had been done earlier, and I believe this project could have been completed a long time ago, the people who use the flower pot area obviously would have had, because I've had people also call me and say that, oh, traffic is better on that stretch now. It's very easy flying that stretch, right? So if it could have been done, let's say 4 years before, 5 years before, why not? Because then I'm sure, definitely, would have been able to save on the money we've expended. Because if we had done this 5 years earlier, with the fluctuations we've seen with our currency, this would have been, before COVID, would have got a better value for money. And people could have used it and saved themselves some hassle. However, I agree with Paul Grave. Governance goes till the last day, till January the 6th and even entering January the 7th. Anything can go. So whether it is cosmetic, whether it is for votes, whatever it is still legitimate. But I just feel that if parties could do better on that and not wait till electoral years, it would be better. Okay,
let me get into the Daily Searchlight. There's just one story here that I really want to get into. The fireworks in Closag. Leadership under fire over 500,000 accusations. So the leadership of the Civil and Local Government Staff Association, that's CLOSAC, has come under intense scrutiny as two senior members of the association accused the Executive Secretary, Mr. Isaac Bampoado, and Acting President, Mr. Benjamin Otu, of fraudulent activities. A petition filed by the National Executive Council alleges the illegal withdrawal of 500,000 Ghana cedis from CLOSAC's main account without authorization, and the petition signed by Mr. Ernestego, Acting National Treasurer, and Mr. Emmanuel Akwa, Acting First National Trustee, demands an immediate investigation into the alleged misconduct, which they claim violates the association's constitution and financial principles. So what's happening there? I just want your quick reflections on this, and then that will be it. But before you come in, let me just get these headlines out from the Daily Searchlight. Gold Keys construction of the Bank Square affirms capabilities of local businesses. Jospong Group, Usain Gishu, County boosts sanitation services in Kenya. Trump completes cabinet with agricultural secretary nomination, and developing nations blast $300 billion COP29 climate deal as insufficient. I think they were gunning for somewhere between $500 billion, and what they were offering was 2 point something, about half of that. But Pograve, your take on CLOSAC and if these other stories pique your interest?
Well, I mean, sweetie, I'm not a member of CLOSAC.
Yeah, but you're a government spokesman. I just
I'm
you have 500,000 gone missing. I'm
not a member of CLOSAC, and so I can't put my mouth into CLOSAC issues.
How does it make you feel?
I'm indifferent, honestly. That's the truth.
Why are you indifferent?
I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent. Don't probe any further. I'm indifferent.
Do you think that if our systems were working and, the structures in place were deterring stuff like this, people could get into an institution's coffers and withdraw 500,000 Ghana cedis without proper authorization? What's
Sweetie, I'm not a member of CLOSAC. I mean, CLOSAC is an association. But CLOSAC is an association. I don't understand anything that happens there. I mean,
Benjamin.
But I needed to just make a comment on Zoom Lion in Kenya. I think it's extremely commendable that we can have Africans within Africa aiding in Africa's own development and cleanliness. And so I commend Zoom Lion.
Okay. Last paper from you.
I'll just do, in addition, page 63, opinions divided over Otuado's future. What's your take on that?
Otuado?
Yeah.
The coach for Black Stars.
So you're not a GFA, right? So you can't comment on that.
No, I listen. But I mean, let's be real here. I listen to Otuado. I listen to the media in terms of the questioning after the football match. We signed a contract with coaches over a period of time. That would help them be able to do what they have to do. But I mean, for me, my real goal is that we want to see the Black Stars that we know. Because football is one of the things that connects all of us. So we want to see the Black Stars that we know. We want to see a lot more vibrancy. We want to see a lot more competition. We want to go to the World Cup. We want to win AFCON. When you are not winning any of these, then you don't have a Black Star, basically. And so GFA should do better.
Supreme newspaper, leaked document exposes Mahama as he plans to sell Ghana's oil to Russian oligarchs. This story came and went, and apparently it's back. Asian African Consortium assures investors of sustainable rice production food security. Nene Tete Waka. 9 others to stand trial on November 26th as kingmakers push for fast trial. Political parties commit to fighting HIV and AIDS as they enter social contracts with Garnet. And unlike Mahama, Bawumia respects voters. Supreme newspaper, you might as well put the tense properly. Respects voters. That's according to Coca. But let's look at these stories. So, leaked document exposes Mahama as he plans to sell Ghana's oil to Russian oligarchs. Allegations have emerged against John Dramani Mahama, flag bearer of the NDC. A document intercepted by this paper has indicated that in his desperation to win the 2024 elections, John Mahama signed a memorandum of understanding with some Russian oligarchs and in exchange for interference in our electioneering process to the advantage of the NDC. In the said MOU, the oligarchs would provide financial and logistical support and manipulate the elections to propel John Mahama to power. This came into the fray some weeks back, and there's no such documentation that I have seen to back this up. But of course, Supreme newspaper says they have intercepted documents. Hopefully they can show those documents. Then there's also on page 3, the former Ifija Kwabre South constituency chairman of the MPP, Chairman Odenehu Kwikwapia, popularly known as Coca, has stated that unlike former President John Dramani Mahama, the MPP's presidential candidate, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, respects voters. He says, let's look at the two main contenders in this year's election, former President Mahama, Vice President Bawumia. Which one is respecting to voters? It is obviously Dr. Bawumia. That is why he has made it a point to visit every constituency in the country. And so that is what he bases respect on, the fact that he's paid a visit to every constituency in the country. Quick reflections. Let me start with you.
So, Benjamin, I mean, I don't think you should have even read this leaked document. It's not necessary.
I know, but I mean, it's a paper I have this morning, and I was, but we all know this is. Yes, but I don't know whether to call it fake news because we know it's not.
Benjamin, the real goal about not propagating is that, I mean, the fact that it's there doesn't mean it should be read, because I mean, I
wouldn't have, but it's my second paper.
Yeah, but I mean, it's not an important conversation, to be honest. For me, I think that Ghana is a very serious country. There's no way any individual can sign Ghana's minerals or anything to any foreign person. It's a sovereign country, and so we should discredit this to the high.
But that's why I stated, you know, that they don't have any documents to back this up. But it's their banner headline. You see, but it points to a more important conversation of some media entities.
Yeah, I mean,
print, TV, radio. Yeah. And some of these, which is why I did the story, actually, to point to the fact that, you know, people, and you see, sweetie, we've had people come, and sometimes when you push for evidence, it becomes a tug of war.
They should be careful, because you see, we are entering a very, very competitive electioneering, and so whatever news that you put out there, remember, the Ghana Police Service will call you.
Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. So there's no need putting out this information, and it's to both sides. I mean, everyone should try to be very circumspect.
Right. So let me put this out as a way of informing our cherished audience that the Electoral Commission has disposed of defective ballot papers just to install, you know, confidence, hopefully, in citizenry. So the Electoral Commission last Thursday disposed of defective ballot papers from the Ahafo and Volta regions due to serialization errors. We got that story about how some printing presses here in Ghana, you know, had some serialization issues. They had to print manually and all that. So if they have actually burned everything, and there were reps from NDC, NPP, and some independent observers.
Our journalists were on hand.
Yeah. So just to let you know that if you heard about the serialization issue and you don't have an update, you should know that the EC has disposed of defective ballot papers. I thought that's important to put out.
Two quick thoughts on that bit, though. One, if the error was from the standpoint of the printing houses, what is their liability? The Ghanaian taxpayer shouldn't just pay for someone's silly mistake.
Right.
You have to have, because they're getting paid. It's not for free. So if we are going to have to do this again and you are liable, what's your liability to? We should know. I think these are some of the transparency issues that sometimes come up, and we should be open about them. But on a jovial note, it appears no matter what the EC does, some people will take them on. So when they burnt the thing, then some people were also saying, they are polluting the environment. And I was like, hey, the EC can't do anything right.
No, but we are talking about climate change, and we should be conscious and all that. Isn't there a way to, you know, how do you say, you know, you can, I don't know, shred it, anything you can do.
Because some too had said that, look, if the EC says, oh, we've got this incinerator and we bent it, people will say, hey, we didn't see which ones, somewhere left, you know, so all of those in there. Ours is a very interesting country.
My thoughts are that this shouldn't have happened, honestly.
Okay.
What shouldn't have happened?
The printing houses shouldn't have made a mistake with the serialization. The fact that they made a mistake with the serialization and they proceeded to submit the ballot papers to Electoral Commission for Electoral Commission to deploy that, it shouldn't have happened. And so I'm glad the EC has banned that, but we should have some more investigations into some of these things. I mean, because if you've been given a contract, I'm aware that our ballot papers are printed by printing houses that have a lot more security. Okay, it's just like the way our examinations are printed with a lot more security. And so if you have serialization issues, you should have rectified that before bringing it to the Electoral Commission and allow the Electoral Commission to now deploy it and then realize that you have serialization issues. And so it shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have happened.
But they've taken care of it. So
I'm glad they have taken care
of it.
But I mean, my thoughts are that this shouldn't have happened.
All right. Well, it's 12 days to elections. Final words?
Okay, you go first.
Peaceful election. We want a peaceful election. We want the Ghanaian people to make a good decision, to elect an ethical leader, to elect an innovative leader, and to give the Ghanaian people the leadership that they deserve in terms of continuity. And I would ask that they vote for number 1 on the ballot, for Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Which constituency was it that you contested in?
Ibuakwa North constituency.
Ibuakwa North. Are you going to support the MPP's candidate?
I was there over the weekend. I'm there every now and then. And so we're winning the Ibuakwa North constituency and a lot more constituencies.
But that's a mainstay constituency, right?
It's the
mainstay MPP constituency.
Yeah, it's an MPP stronghold. Yes, and we'll forever.
But you're still helping to ensure that.
Absolutely, I've been there.
Massively there.
We are winning massively. I've been there all throughout.
All
throughout, yeah.
For me, I'd like to say a very good morning to my niece in Kumasi, Nanekua. You know why I'm shouting you out this morning. God bless and keep you and stay strong. And then, Nanadjo Abena, you also know why I'm shouting you this morning. Have a good morning. I hope you woke up well today. Have a wonderful day. And that's it for me.
Do you remember Minal Meiri Jasol?
Huh?
Minal, the young lady who watches us every morning. Today is her birthday. Minal
that one.
Jasol. That is Godfrey Seydou Jasol's daughter. I understand she loves watching us, and today is your birthday. Happy birthday, darling. This is a message from your dad. Today you turn 10, and he's wishing you great, your best years ahead. You're so adorable. He's wishing you the very best, and we here also wishing you the very best, Minal. 10 years old, smart young lady. Happy birthday, and hopefully we'll get to see you one day in person. And I want to say thank you to everyone who showed up for the Girl Get Up seminar, to our sponsors, GCB. Thank you so much to the entire team, Victoria, Angela, Francisca, Linda, Mabel. Thank you all so much for making it a great event. And watch the space. There's a lot more coming from Girl Get Up Africa. Thank you.
Well, I want to end by saying that your dress is really nice. I don't know who made it for you.
I'm matching it with my phone case.
You're matching with your phone case. I can't believe we are talking about. Anyway, thank you very much, Dr. Musah Dankwah, for joining the conversation. He is government spokesperson on governance and security. He joined us this morning. But sports is coming your way up next. You want to stay for that.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to AM Sports. Here with me, Muftau Nabila Abdullah, a former management committee member of the Black Stars. Ernest Thompson says Otto Addo does not have the quality to lead the Black Stars as its head coach. According to him, the Ghana Football Association should part company with the former Borussia Dortmund assistant coach because with Otto Addo, the future of Ghana's Black Stars is bleak.
The problem is that we fought it in the appointment of the technical team over a period of years. Some of these things are also due to pressure from above. I'm telling you the truth.
All right. By pressure from above, what exactly do we mean? Pressure from government? Pressure from where? From the leadership of the
FA? My friend, Nat, if we decide to play that kind of ostrich game, we won't solve this problem. I'm telling you the truth.
Yeah, Uncle Ernest, I just want you to... Yeah, I like the tangent. Yeah.
I said people don't want to talk about it. The media men talking, they know it. At times there's pressure from above.
Okay.
As to who we want.
Okay.
As a coach.
So there's pressure from government sometimes. There's pressure from the FA leadership.
Pressure from government.
Yes. Very well. Very well.
And it's not only under this government. From the men's time. You remember when we appointed Barreto?
Yeah. Mariano Barreto. Yes.
Yes. I confronted ET and said, ET, why Barreto? He said, look, that's what we want.
End of story.
I'm not, he told me, Ernest, I'm not trying to come into your work as FA, but I'm intervening as the sports minister. Some of these appointments, are beyond those people sitting there as FA. All this go and do interview and the rest. They are mere rules. No, let's face it.
Yeah.
Look, I've passed that stage where I have to tell lies. When we're going to the World Cup, one of the World Cup, and we did the send off at the State House. Some of the players came to us and said, are you sure this is the coach we are going to with? And we told them, this is what they said they want. So we have to go with them. So this appointment of coaches and the rest, and not take it from me. Anytime we've appointed coaches, and the coaches are appointed due to interference, that coach doesn't do well. Go and investigate and see. Because he's giving the job on a silver platter. Go and investigate. And off air, I can tell you, coaches were appointed that there was a lot of instructions from above. The current problem is only twofold. As for issue whether they should change, people are going round and they are using English words, change. If you want somebody to change, if you want Ketokreku to change, say it. And let's stop this going round things and the rest. Using nice English and the rest. For me, the problem is twofold. We have a bad technical team. They are not up to the task if they are to lead us in the next 5 years. Because Ghanaians don't have patience to wait for a coach who is young and is learning. Otto Addo has done his best. At times, you promote people to their level of competence. Beyond that, they can't do much. Again, he's done his best, and I think at this stage, he and his technical team should go. Number two, that team you are calling the Black Stars is not a team. It's not a team. It's a group of individuals which are very, very conflictual. There's so much conflict in that team. The kind of things you hear. And Kurt and the rest, they should take responsibility for keeping things to themselves.
In this same interview, he disagreed with the decision of the Ghana Football Association to dissolve the management committee of the Black Stars, and we'll be sharing details with you on my Joy Online. Now let's hear from Najib Yakubu. He granted an interview to Joy Sports, calling on the president of the Ghana Football Association, Kurt Okweku, to stop disrespecting the country he represents, which is Nigeria. Kurt, prior to the game against Sudan, had told the Black Stars players that 4 or 5 of Niger players cannot play in his football club, Dreams FC. Hence, the failure of the Black Stars to beat them in that 1-1 draw during the 2025 African Cup of Nations qualifiers suggested that the Black Stars players were not good enough themselves. Najib Yakubu says it is about time he stops disrespecting other countries.
The way he's disrespecting the country I'm representing now is not fair. How can you be saying common Niger? Do you know what common is? If someone says common, do you understand the meaning of common? At least just put the football aside. Give us some respect. As neighbor, like neighbor country, like neighboring country. Treat me good, I treat you good.
In your team, when you people heard that the GFA president said, because the video was running everywhere.
Everywhere. Even our president sent it to us in a group.
Your FA president?
Yeah, he saw it, and he was not happy. No, you will not be happy when how can if let's say our president, our vice president, if our coach says this to Ghana, I will not be even happy to the coach, with the coach. Sorry. So it's the same.
But your FA president is supposed to be a friend of Kurt.
Yeah, they are friends.
Because he decided to step aside as Wafubi president for Kurt to take over that role.
Yeah, it's their problem. Yeah. But my problem with him is he should just take my name out of everything.
What did the president tell you after sending you the video? The Niger FA president. What did he tell people after sending you the video?
The video was an encouragement for us to tag on high, pushing hard.
That's why you came and beat Ghana?
Yeah, of course. Well, that's this jubilation and everything that you are seeing. I don't have a problem with, today I'll say it on tape, I don't have a problem with any Ghanaian. My problem is I don't have a problem, he has a problem with me. Also, all the jubilation and everything you are seeing is not for Ghana, it's for him, Kurt.
Because he told you that
because
four of his players
cannot play. Yes, how can you say four of your players, four of our players cannot play in your club in dreams? Let me say it straight, in dreams. We don't do that.
But are you better than players in Dreams FC?
Come on, we are not better, but we're not going to say that. We are going to give some respect to the team. Just give us some respect. You don't say that. Everyone can just say anything on tape and everything, but we have respect. Have respect for human. You don't just say anything like that as if your family house. We don't know if it is not family house. Because the way you say, someone can also say the same thing, but you say the person is disrespecting you. It's not fair like that.
The conversation has tended to be a critical conversation.
Yeah. Because he mentioned my name in his speech. That's why I want to say it now, that he should please and please and please and please again. Because you're not going to be in power forever. Things can change tomorrow next, any time. Today you are here, tomorrow you are here. So life is kadang.
And also over the weekend, there was the draw for the African Women's Cup of Nations that will be happening in Morocco next year. And Ghana's Black Queens have been drawn against the defending champion South Africa in Group C. And there's also a place for Mali and Tanzania. And the last time the Black Queens played the African Women's Cup of Nations, they played against Mali, and that game at the Accra Sports Stadium ended in a defeat. And also, prior to that, they had played a friendly match against South Africa, beating them 1-0 at the Accra Sports Stadium. In Group A, we have the host Morocco against Zambia, as well as Senegal and DR Congo. And also in Group B, it is Nigeria, Tunisia, Algeria, and Botswana. So these are the countries that are heading to the African Women's Cup of Nations, and this is how they've been grouped by the Confederation of African Football. And also, there were continental awards which were held in Accra over the weekend, and Stephen Appiah was adjudged the Continental Sportsman of the Year, and he says he owed his career to former Ghana international Mohamed Gago.
Travel to Italy, a guy from Choco who doesn't know anything about the weather, who doesn't know anything about the spaghetti, who doesn't know anything about the salads, who doesn't know anything about the pizzas. Yes, I was doing so well when I was playing for Accra Suffolk. Yes, there was a scout who came down to scout Stephen Appiah. I got a chance, I traveled to Italy. But there's this special person who made everything possible, who is Gago Mohamed. Mimo, you still don't understand. Anytime I see you, I bow. I bow because I appreciate what you have done in my life. I quite remember we played, I was with the genocide. I haven't signed my contract yet. We played a friendly game, the senior side against Stromgras from Austria. They started the game, 80th minute, Gago Mohamed faked an injury for me to have the chance and have the feel of the game. I came in 10 minutes to the end of the game. I scored a goal from 25 yards. The next day I saw myself in the newspapers and I called Gago Mohamed. I said, there is an article about me. So I called him. He said, okay, come to the house. I took a bus. I went to the house and he said, the coach said, chiudete la porta e non fallo scappare. Close the door and don't let him run away. After 2 days, I signed my first international contract.
Stephen Appiah paying tribute to Mohamed Gago for helping his career get to the stage it got to. In the Ghana Premier League, Accra House of Folk sat at home and drew 1-1 against Insua Truman and Kumasi Asante Kotoko. They ended their 4-game winless run after winning 2-0 against Ediana Stars.
Has he hit the back of the net? He has. Oh, wow. This is how you do it. And they run to their coach. The man under pressure. Relief. Absolute relief for Kumasi Asante Kotoko. We are just 10 minutes in. And the Porcupine Warriors are on top. Kotoko's Utopia. And it's Adriana Star Spain. What a goal.
Who can score? But they are just panicking, wasting a lot of chances.
Lord Amoa, Baba Yaya, second goal. And Albert Amoa, guess who? He is the man, just as he has always been. Albert Amoa, his 6th goal of the season, his second goal.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining the conversation. Now, before we get into our big stories, let me tell you about this year's CompuGhana Cashback, which has been named Prime Cashback Season. and it's packed with incredible deals and exciting surprises. Now, this Prime Cashback, CompuGhana is bringing you exclusive discounts, prime savings, and awesome surprises when you shop for products from any of their branches nationwide. I'll tell you what, you can find products from your favorite brands, all of them, well, the major ones: Samsung, LG, TCL, HP, Lenovo, Dell, Midea, Nasco, Tecno, Infinix, Itel, Huawei, and many more. All you have to do is visit any of the CompuGhana branches nationwide and enjoy exclusive discounts on all products. CompuGhana has a wide range of IT-related products. I'm talking about mobile phones, electronic products such as laptops, printers, desktops, tablets, television sets, fridges, home theaters, air conditioners, gas cookers, and more. What's even more amazing is this year's Prime Cashback with CompuGhana has got great prizes with instant gifts and cash prizes for your shopping experience. When you shop at CompuGhana this season, be on the lookout for the surprise team, answer a question correctly, and win instant cash and gifts. And you, yes, you deserve this opportunity too. Rush to CompuGhana now. The promo runs from now till December. Visit CompuGhana.com, or you can call 0302 752 020 for more information. I also want to tell you quickly about the Medicas Hospital, but I'll get into that in a bit. So joining me for a conversation this morning, we're talking about the polls, we're talking about the data, we're talking about the different thoughts that have been shared by different entities and even pollsters in respect of what the outcome could be of election 2024, with a focus more on the presidential election. But the question is, what are these pollsters saying, and what can we expect as a people? We have different views, different opinions, and this morning we're going to have a conversation with different sides on the spectrum. Joining the conversation, we have Dr. John Osai Kwapong. He's a CDD fellow. He joins the conversation. We have Musah Dankwah, who is Executive Director, Global Info Analytics. Musah Dankwah, should I add doctor to your name now?
No.
Okay, all right. So Musah Dankwah, Executive Director, Global Info Analytics. And then we also have the Director of Research and Innovation at the Kumasi Technical University. I'm talking about Professor Smart Sapong. Gentlemen, a very good morning to you.
Good morning to you too, Benjamin.
It's a pleasure having you join the conversation. So let me start with you, Professor Sapong. You came out with a recent survey that, purported, per the data you had garnered, that in fact, if we were to go to the polls, the vice president, who is also flag bearer of the MPP, would be securing some 49.1% of the vote, with John Dramani Mahama, the former president, securing 45.8%, and then some 2.2% to Nana Kwame Bediako, 1.2% to Alan Chomanting, and the others put together securing 1.7%. Somewhere in May, June, you came out with a survey and some felt your data was problematic. You came out strongly and defended your data. Can you walk us through your methodology and how you came by this information, Professor Sapong?
Great. Ben, a very good morning to your good self and our cherished viewers. Backstage were, once again, my brother Musah Dankwah and my missing very old friend, Dr. John Osai Kwapong. It was an interesting exercise. We piloted around 1st of October to make sure our instrument was good for use. And we went out on the 16th of October, so for a total period of about a month. So by 16th of November, all was done. And then the period between 16th and the time the release was made would have been for the analysis of the data, making sure that the right infographs are done and then shared with the public. So that is in respect of the duration. In respect of the constituencies visited, we visited all 276 constituencies. In respect of communities within those constituencies we visited altogether 4,272, so 4272. And then in
4272 communities.
The sample, Yes, please, communities.
All right.
All right. And then in respect of the sample itself, the final sample size that went into the analysis was 99,355, as indicated on the summary infograph we have. In respect of how the communities were chosen, the design was called 51st percentile design. And that meant that for each constituency, if we rank the contribution of the polling stations to the total voter register of that constituency and draw the 50th percentile line, any +1 meant that there's going to be, you know, the way we do 50% +1. So that +1. And then all communities that constitutes the polling stations that adds up to the 51st mark got selected into the list of communities to be visited. And the idea was that when you capture that, you'd have captured the majority views of the various constituencies. So that is in brief what we did. It was through face-to-face interaction with our respondents, and we tried as much as possible to use elevated respondents. When I say elevated respondents, persons or respondents whose views have some elevation effect. Clergymen, traditional leaders, teachers and educational workers, health and hospital-related workers, and so on and so forth. The summaries are there in the report. Chief farmers, market leaders, and so on and so forth. So that is how the whole process commenced and then ended with the summaries that we have.
All right, let me ask you, you've given us your sample size. So the 99,355 accounts for the 4,272 constituencies or communities you visited, right?
Yes, so the data, the 99,355, the sites where those information were picked were 4,272.
All right, that's exactly what I wanted to confirm. Now, what is your level of accuracy or your satisfaction with the accuracy of the data, plus or minus?
All right, so what you do, and let me separate the two. We have sampling error and then non-sampling error. So in respect of sampling error, I'm sure that is what you are asking. If you choose 99% confidence interval and you give yourself the least ever margin of error, with the algorithm I used, which is computed algorithm, not perhaps online app or an imputed plugin, you would get up to 16,500 as the minimum sample size to erase every form of sampling error, and then with the highest confidence interval as possible. So you can talk about 99% confidence interval. And the actual errors are errors that are estimated, or non-sampling errors are errors that are estimated after the actuals have been realized, so that error will be defined as the variation between the predicted and the actual. So we'll take notice of that. In fact, until you do the total, and even censuses would have some level of error associated with it. So that is inherent. But the more you increase the sample size, the law says that the more you reduce whatever inherent errors that might come as a related, as a cause of the sampling. So if the 16,500 becomes my minimum, all I need to do to reduce those inherent errors will be to increase the sample size. I increased and increased and increased up to a point where my duration of data collection has elapsed. So I ended, and that's where I got the 99,355.
Okay.
Others could have increased and increased, and the largest sample size you can ever have is the size of the population.
Okay, of course, and usually for the sake of resources, you wouldn't want to sample from every member of the population. Though in other jurisdictions, it is easier because, for example, in the US, some will come out and say, I'm openly Democrat, I'm openly Republican, so it's easier, absolutely, and then the rest are in the middle. But you've still not answered my question in terms of the efficiency of the data. I just want to know, because, for example, your counterpart on the other side, though, yes, we are talking about sample sizes, would usually say plus or minus this. What is your level of accuracy? I just wanted like a straight off answer so we move on.
Oh, in respect of, and what I'm saying is that I have reduced the errors I have control over, which is the sampling error, to the barest minimum. I've represented the randomness. I represented the randomness across all subsamples of the population, and even up to the point of the respondent's point.
Okay, so to make a point, your level of error is negligible. Is that what you're saying?
Extremely.
Negligible. So close to zero. That's the level of error. Close to zero.
Absolutely. It is not zero, but I like the way you put it, close to zero.
Okay.
Or not determinate.
All right. Thank you very much for your initial thought. One last bit before I go to Musah Dankwah. How did you, I mean, these surveys are expensive. How did you sponsor yours, this latest one?
Right. So when you have interest, money is not the problem. And let me start by saying, fortunately nowadays, professors are not that poor. You can ask my brother John. In the times I saw professors, at the time I was aspiring to be a professor, I saw one professor with a type of card, and you get scared as to where you want to go, whether or not the place is quite good. But I mean, let me assure you that if you have the team, and I've been in this business for quite a long time. I was a consultant way back in 2007. I've been engaged in many local and international activities. I was part of the team that did the census for teachers and educational workers here in Ghana. I was part of the consultants that did the first review of school feeding here in Ghana under Professor Mills's time. Poverty and human development, blah, blah, a lot of World Bank service. So I have a team. As I speak now, I can give you a team that reflects the number of electoral areas that we have here in Ghana. And there are teams that I use on many of the projects that I get.
So the simple answer is that you sponsored this yourself?
Yes, through the consultancies that I usually get.
All right, thank you very much. Musah Dankwah, you have also been putting some polls out there, and shortly we'll get into the details of what you've been saying. I've just mentioned what Professor Smart Sapong has said. He is projecting 49.1% thereabouts for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as far as the presidential ballot is concerned, and 45.8% for the former President John Dramani Mahama. And then the rest seem to be more like yours, not in terms of the specific percentages, but in terms of who follows. So Nana Kwame Bediako, then Alan Chamatin, and then the others. What is your take from your recent polls? You've been in the Ashanti and other regions. What have you seen there?
Thank you very much for having me. What I've seen in the Ashanti region is that after we finished our telephone tracking polls, we wanted to confirm whether the telephone tracking polls mirrors the field polls when we deploy face-to-face. We do believe that there's not much difference between them overall. So in Ashanti region, when we went back there, we saw John Mahama on 29% in Ashanti region.
On what percent?
29%.
29%, all right.
But the average telephone poll, it was on 27%. So about 2% higher in the field than in the telephone poll. And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was on 68% in the Ashanti region, whereas in the field, it was roughly around 65%. So the differences between the field survey and phone field survey and phone survey, it's not material when you take into account the margin of error. So we are quite happy with what we are getting from these areas as far as the polling is concerned.
Now, there appears to be a sharp contrast between what data you are getting and what data Professor Smart Sapong is putting out. And the question is, why the disparities? I don't know what could account for it. Is it the sample size? Is it where you are interviewing people? Because both of you have gone through the length and breadth of the country. In recent times, you've added telephone polling as well. But what do you think accounts for the differences we're seeing?
I think if you listen to Prof, he was mentioning about targeting people of certain profession and also using what they call elevated respondents. Our work is entirely random.
It's entirely
randomized.
Okay.
Randomized. Even on the telephone survey, we don't know who we are calling. And the call is just dialed by the system and for the person. So you have no ability to interfere with the randomness of the telephone calls. When you deploy people even in the field, sometimes you lose the ability to be randomized, to randomize people. Sometimes they do profile people because this person looks a bit serious. He may not want to talk to you, you let him go. So when you convert the field survey into telephone survey, you are able to improve the randomness of the selection process. And that is more accurate than any other means because, look, this sampling techniques works very well when it is probability sampling that is employed to get the responses. And I think that's the difference between what we have and what he has.
What would be the differences if you look at the latest poll, telephone poll that you have put out, the national one, and then the special regional polls in terms of the Ashanti, Ahafo, and Bono regions? How different are your statistics, your data, compared to Professor Sarpong's? What is happening? Where are the differences? Let's get into them.
I mean, we have John Mahama on 51.9%.
51.9%.
9%. And Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia on 40.5%.
On what?
40.5%.
40.5%. Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
And now, if you look at the average polling data for the 6 week period that will be polled, Mahama goes to 52.3%, and Bawumia 40.4%, and Alan 1.9%, 4.7% for Bidia, and 0.7% for others. But if you look at the trend data dating back to 2022 April, when we first did the hypothetical poll, Mahama was on 53% and Bawumia 38%. That was April 2022. The trend data shows today that Mahama is 52.3%, not far from where he was in 2022 April.
In other words, not much has changed.
Not much has changed. And the trend is what, for me, is very important. The trend gives you accuracy more than a single period average or single period poll. So you're able to see and take out the noises that you may record over the period of time and see where the true numbers lie using trend data.
All right. A few quick questions I want you to answer very quickly. One, what is your margin of error? I asked Professor Smart Sarpong, and he said that with his system, it's almost negligible, close to zero. What is your sample size? What is your margin of error using this randomized system?
I mean, if you look at the 2-week polling cycle, the sample size is about 5,000 units. And then if you look at the weekly tracking, it's about 2,600. So the margin of error for the 2006 is 1.86%.
1.86%, right.
And the confidence level is 95%.
Confidence level of 95%. Does it matter that your sample size is smaller? You've been conducting this more frequently, but does it matter that using this randomized system, which is different from what Professor Smart Sarpong uses, does it matter that your sample size is smaller? In some instance, 5,000 plus. In another instance, 2,000 plus. Doesn't mean anything.
Look, Benjamin, when we interviewed 450 voters from Ashanti region over the phone, randomized, we got 65% for Bawumia. When we deployed 3,750 men on the ground in Ashanti region, we got 68%.
Okay.
So the difference between 450 respondents on telephone and nearly 4,000 in the field was just 3%. And that 3% had been taken care of or would have been taken care of by the margin of error. So if you have 65% in Ashanti region, plus the base margin of error of 1.8, you add that, you'll be getting close to what we got in the field in Ashanti region. So for us, efficiency in sampling is very important for us. It's not just the volume, but the quality of the distribution of the sample and how random it is. For us, we are confident. You don't have to do big sample size to get to accuracy.
Okay, I'll be going to Dr. John Osai Kwapong shortly, but again, Musah, I don't want to miss this. That's why I asked Professor Smart Sarpong about how he sponsors his surveys. I would put that same question to you, and then add this for me. So you are saying that because there's a sharp contrast between what you've put out and what Professor Smart Sarpong has put out. You are forecasting, as of today, 51.9% for John Dramani Mahama, 40.5% for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. If you look at Professor Smart Sapong's polls, that means he is almost 19 percentage points away from what Professor Smart Sapong gives him, which is what you have given him. And John Dramani Mahama then slips by about 7 percentage points to 45.8%. So basically, you are saying there's not going to be a runoff, right?
Yes, but what you mentioned there with the numbers are just polling numbers.
Right.
On Friday, we're going to come up with our predictions of what the numbers will be. But from our side, there will not be runoff.
From your side? Because I remember in June, thereabouts, this question came up. Still, as of now, there's not going to be a runoff?
No runoff, no.
Okay, all right. If you look at Professor Smart
Sapong's
Sapong's...
funding.
Okay, all right.
In terms of our funding, I think if you go to our website, we have the list of our clientele on our website.
Okay.
The companies we work for, they are global companies. And we do a lot of work for them.
Can you mention some of them?
Oh, yes. We have Diageo. It's one of our biggest clients is Diageo.
Okay.
And if you know Diageo is a company that owns Guinness Ghana Limited. They own Guinness Ghana Limited. So they are one of the biggest clients we have. Okay. So what we do as part of the opinion polls is, in fact, part of our own job, because we do risk forecasting. And with risk forecasting, you must be able to do the polling to inform your risk forecasting. So whether we like it or not, we'll be doing polling regardless. But this element that we commit funds to is what we call our CSR, corporate social responsibility.
I see. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, let me come to you. So,
and a quick one.
Who is this, Prof?
Yes, yes.
Okay, briefly.
I wanted to also perhaps add to what Musah Dankwah have said in respect of what could be accounting for the variation between what I have and what he have.
Hello, Prof.
He enters within the regions that he visits. So, for example, in his recent
Prof,
report,
we lost your connection briefly, so start making the point again.
Okay, Ben, thank you so much. I was trying to add to what Musah said in respect of what could be accounting for the variation between what I have and what he has. So, for example, I'm saying one may be due to the places, the constituencies he chooses to visit, as against what I also choose to visit. So, randomly, he can choose maybe two constituencies in, let's say, I have. Okay, I decide to represent all constituencies as subsamples, and so don't need to take one out. The subsamples for me are heterogeneous. They do not share common characteristics, and so leaving one out would also affect the information you have. So that can also be the difference. So whilst he visits or whilst he works in two constituencies in Ahafo, I work in all 6. Whilst he works in maybe 10 or 11 constituencies in, or let's say 15 or 20 constituencies in Ashanti, I work in all. And my assumption, underlying assumption, is that Ghana can be deemed as one country, that's fine. But we cannot look down or overlook the fact that all 276 subsamples share some unique characteristics. Their heterogeneity cannot be overlooked. Their voting patterns are not alike, especially when you enter into the constituencies. Some may cluster as strongholds whatsoever, but once you go in there, you can have a constituency in a stronghold like Asokwa that will give you one polling station data that sounds like it's coming from Asawasi or elsewhere. So that may, for me, account. If anybody works in, let's say, 100 constituencies, and the other works in 276 constituencies, that alone can be a source of variation between the outcomes that we have, irrespective of the
thank you.
Yeah, the methods, similarity of the methods.
Thank you for those points. But as someone who also engages in research, you do know that you don't need to sample, if there's a country, for example, in the United States, you don't need to sample every state to be able to get a temperature of what to expect in respect of certain polls, right? You do know that, right?
Yeah, Benjamin, that is extremely correct. But one thing I find it difficult is when the comparison is made between US and Ghana, or let's say UK and Ghana. That for me is quite problematic. They are like 200 years away from us in respect of, in US, right on registration, they feel free to indicate, I am for this or that. You see, that's the level of advancement that they have gotten to in respect of this thing we are discussing, democracy, elections, and all those things.
Okay.
They are quite open society, they are advanced, their literacy level, their understanding of things cannot be compared. I'm not saying we are that bad, but trying to liken us to US.
I'm not likening, but polls, empirical evidence, I mean, the methods that are used elsewhere are the same methods we use here, right? That is, if you're sticking to the right thing. That's all I meant. I'm not comparing jurisdictions.
Absolutely, but then there is some inherent things that needs to be taken care of when you are aware that our system is quite not like theirs.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that point. Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, having listened to these two posters, what are your takeaways for now from everything they've said? One uses a randomized system that he feels is pretty accurate with a margin of error of about 1.86%. The other uses a more global method, not randomized, selective, but he says his margin of error is close to zero, almost negligible. You do research as well. What is your take?
Thank you very much. So for me, again, it's whenever I read, these polls, I read them as what are the signals that they are sending to us, the end users, in terms of what they found in trying to gauge the temperature or trying to check the pulse of the voters. With such work to your methodology would lead to the results that you get. I've followed both of them. I've followed their work very closely. And so you can understand how the sophistication of the methods leads to the kind of observations that you get. I don't read it. I know that the conversations going on in some of the public spaces is trying to pitch it as who is quote unquote correct or who is incorrect. But I read it as giving the methodological approaches of the work that they're doing. Does it help me understand the results that they are getting, and what do I make of the results? So, for example, if you look at the trends from Mr. Musah Dankwah's polls over, I think since 2022, even before the parties chose their flag bearers, you do see certain trends. You'd see places where the candidates have either lost some grounds, made up some grounds, things like that. If you compare Prof's baseline that came out, I believe it was sometime in June, to this one, again, you see, for example, for me, the biggest change that I see there is the number of undecided voters that have gone down. So it's a question of, for me, what are the strongest signals that are coming out from the work of these two gentlemen, and what do you make of it in terms of the implications for the elections? And if you were a candidate or a party, what does it say to you in terms of your strategy? Okay.
Now, look at the disparities in terms of the contrasting figures. Musah Dankwah is saying 51.9% for John Dramani Mahama. They've not come out with their final, permutation or forecast. But 51.9% generally for John Dramani Mahama, 40.5% for Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, which would mean no runoff, right? But then you go to Professor Smart Sapple, and he gives the vice president some 49.1%, and John Dramani Mahama 45+%. From where you sit, what is your analysis of that? I want us to dig deeper into the data, the real data.
So an undergraduate professor of mine, one time when we were talking about sample size, says to us, small is beautiful, but big is better, right? And the point he would always try to make is that At some point, though, you would also hit a saturation point where you don't get any new information by increasing the sample size. So it could be that the views of 4,000 voters, when expanded 3, 4, 5, 6 times, you may get additional information, but it would also peak at a certain point where no new information is added. So some of the variations that both of them have explained in terms of not even just the sample size, but even how you go about sampling members of the population, your entry points into a particular constituency, can all contribute to what you get in terms of what voters are actually telling you. So you're right. It's quite a sharp it's quite a sharp contrast. But then their methods help you understand why you would see that that sharp contrast. It would be good if we had other polls, right? So, and here I'm just going to use an example from the US where Real Clear Politics, what they do is they take all the polls from different pollsters and then they do an average and give you a picture of, okay, from all of the variations in all the different polls that we are seeing, this appears to be the state of the race. And it would be, if we had a lot more entities, individuals doing this kind of work, then it would have been really good to sort of put it all together, average it out, you know, holding constant the different methodologies that they use to give you a sense of the race.
Would you give more credence to international polls compared to ours? And I pose that question because, you know, the Economic or Economist Intelligence Unit in the UK has come out with these time and again. And they seem to be pretty spot on. Whenever they say the tide is shifting towards the MPP tends to win. Whenever they say it's shifting towards the NDC, likely the NDC wins. Then you have Fitch, a global, you know, entity that does not just do the markets and all of that. They also do polls. And they are also suggesting, both of these entities suggest that the NDC likely would win. It would be their election to lose, if anything. How much credence do you give to those?
I give enough credence to it, but I would not give it more credence than I would give the work of Prof. or Musah Dankwah. And the reason I say that is that, for example, if you look at EIU, if you look at Fitch, usually some of their take or analysis is also based on observations of country conditions, right? So, for example, when I look at Prof's poll, right, your initial instinct is to say that it goes against conventional wisdom, right? All the conventional wisdom will tell you that this is an election that should be a turnover election. If you look at the economic challenges, if you look at some of the governance issues, if you look at the fact that we are coming up to another 8-year cycle where normally we turn over our political parties, all of that conventional wisdom would say to you, this should be a turnover election. For me, though, as I look at the work of these two gentlemen and other conversations, I'm starting to feel like there could also be, and Musah Dankwah will tell you that whenever I engage him, I would say, are we looking at an unconventional election where some of the things that have held true in previous elections, particularly at the 8-year cycles, may not hold true. When Prof did his baseline study, for example, that was one of my initial reactions, right? The more I kept looking at it, I said, well, are we in some... is 2024 different from all the different elections, you know, that we have? But again, like I said, especially because they also make public their methodology and explain all the steps they go through to arrive at their answers, no, I won't give the likes of EIU or Fitch any more credence than I would give them credence for their work.
All right. Gentlemen, I'm taking your concluding comments, but I want to come back to you, Dr. John Osai-Kwapong, as I start with the concluding comments. Feed this into your concluding comments for me. If you look at today's daily graphic, election 2024, who takes the central region, it's topical because it is usually one of those kingmaker regions. Small, but it has its own dynamic in there. And then you look at the Ashanti region and Global Info Analytics poll suggesting that the Vice President, Dr. Bawumia, is on 68% and John Dramani Mahama on 29%. And then you have the others, Alan, Nana Kwame Bediako and others. But I'm concerned about the 68% because you know what that means. Falling below 70% could be disastrous. What do you read into those dynamics and your final comments?
Yes. So, for example, in Ashanti, which is a strong base of support for the MPP, as a matter of political strategy, I know that they would want a certain minimum percentage, right? From
I've heard people suggest that they are going to get 80%.
Well,
I mean, members of the MPP. I think I've heard the running mate talk about securing 80%. So 69 versus 80, that's a far cry.
But I can also understand why he would assert that, right? I mean, you want to project confidence, right? You want to project a strong showing. You want to do things that would motivate your base to go out and vote. But if I were the vice president, right, I would look at this number and be a little concerned in terms of you really want to push it a little higher. For example, when Prof released his baseline survey, one of the concerns that I had about Ashanti was the percentage who were indicating they were undecided in the Ashanti region, because I said that's too high for your strong base of support. Central region, if you look at the polls from Global Info Analytics, it's looked a little more competitive than I expected because of the vice president or the running mate of former President John Mahama. It's been interesting to see how much traction that is gaining or not gaining in the central region. Now, he may pull off the central region, but the trends that I've seen in the Musah Dankwah poll, for me, just again raises some concerns about how competitive that choice has made or not made the central region. Look, at the end of the day, these polls are about testing the pulse of the nation, getting a sense of what's on their mind, what's not on their mind. And eventually on December 7th, we would get the most accurate poll, which is what voters would actually do on that day. But again, I don't want the public conversation to be about who is right and who is wrong and who is sponsored and who is not sponsored. I look at it as at a particular point in time when I took a snapshot of voters, this is what they said to me, and we would get the most accurate poll on December 7th.
Thank you, Doc, for your final thoughts. It's been a breath of fresh air having you join the conversation. Professor Smart Sapol, please, between you and Musah Dankwah, I would give each one of you about a minute or a minute and 20 seconds each. So, Prof, I'll start with you. Hello,
right,
Professor
so
Sapol.
Ben, thanks for the, yes, I think it's clear now. Thanks for the engagement. Again, I agree that the central region remains competitive, even though I was also expecting some changes, but it's quite competitive. My resource purchased it at the MPP 49 and then the NDC 44. It's quite competitive. The base has been an MPP base. Out of 23 constituencies, 19 of them have an MPP base as in presidential votes. And then the top is where usually the shake-ups do occur at the parliamentary level. So the base is there, and I was expecting quite a competition, but it looks like I mean, this is how it will be until the real elections are conducted.
Okay, I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry. I'm really sorry to do this. You mentioned parliamentary. It reminded me of something I forgot. In what you put out, I saw some numbers there when it comes to parliamentary as well. Can you just briefly explain that for me?
Well, so everybody knows, or those who follow politics in Ghana knows that the NPP have more safe seats than the NDC in parliament. Even under this condition of hanged parliament, the NPP do have more safe seats than. So my projections have it, and this is after visiting all constituencies.
Okay.
My projections have it that the NPP would elevate their safe seats to 128, and the NDC will elevate their safe seats from the current 82 to 92. So that is in respect of safe seats. There are some 56 constituencies that are in there for a friendly fight, and then we see what happens by close of elections. Yeah. So my conclusion is that, Ben, let us encourage internal resources that we have in respect of capacity or ability to conduct polls. When FITCH is in your country or Economic Intelligence Units are in your country, they are in your country along with several other countries of the world. And the concentration will not be on Ghana. I mean, no, I'm not saying, I mean, you understand me. They are working in all countries, not only in Ghana. So the kind of attention, the kind of understanding myself or Musah Dankwah would have in respect of the dynamics on the ground here in Ghana, our peculiarity, they may perhaps generalize, globalize the dynamics to be the same. And so, yes, we will continue to work with them. We'll continue to read their work, believe in their work. But I am looking at a day where Ghana would establish its own and then empower those who have taken interest in there to have ones that will be trusted and be projected.
Okay.
That has always been my prayer.
All right. Prof, thank you so much. Time is not our friend. I know what you mean, like Pew Research and all that. Musah Dankwah, let's have your final word and we're out of here. Your thoughts?
Right, my final word. I think we've done enough polling in this country. And as we speak to you, are still polling in many places. And we have a very good view of what is happening. We believe that the results of this election will be one. It will be one touch, clearly. And we also believe that Central Region will be won by NDC. And with the parliamentary numbers, look, we have looked at them in a very extensive way, using what we call the MRP model. And from what we are seeing, look, the seats that were safe MPP in Greater Accra are struck. There's no longer safe seat except 2 or 3 in Greater Accra. So the base on which some of these seats were determined as safe has changed. We believe that NDC will have a very comfortable majority in Parliament.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining the conversation. We had Dr. John Osai Kwapong, he's a CDD fellow. We also had joining the conversation Dr. Musah Dankwah, I beg your pardon, Executive Director, Global Info Analytics. And then we had Professor Smart Sapong, Director of Research and Innovation at the Kumasi Technical University. They all joined us for this conversation. There's a lot coming your way because up next we'll be heading to the NHIA to find out what exactly the policy, this recent bit about free dialysis treatment and more, what it is about. What are the modalities? That conversation will be coming your way shortly after the break.
Well, like Ben said before we went on a break, we are getting into the National Health Insurance Authority, who is set to begin that rollout of free dialysis treatment nationwide. Now, what are the modalities and how is the NHIA prepared to deal with emerging issues on this nationwide project. Joining us for a conversation on this is Dr. Dacosta Boaje. And Doc, thank you so much for joining us this morning on the AM show. We understand that starting 1st December, the National Health Insurance Scheme will cover dialysis treatment. But first of all, you tell us what's the brief on this project or this policy?
So let me extend greetings to Ghanaians, especially staff from the NHI. So I think last 6 months, we started a pilot of this free dialysis. We really wanted to know the data, and we wanted to be informed by the data and going forward what we could do. So we came up with the pilot giving 8 sessions for children below the ages of 18 and below, and adults 60 and above. They were having 8 sessions. Then in between, that's 19 to 59, we were giving them 2 sessions. And we had an approved budget from Parliament where we also added our corporate social responsibility budget to it. And the numbers that were given to us by the Association of People on Dialysis actually seems to be in obviously deviation from the actual. The numbers that were given to us were around 690 something, almost 700. But the actual numbers that we got in the pilot was around 400, which was about 395. So we rounded it up to about 400. Now, with this, we now started our modeling whilst doing the pilot to see if indeed the National Health Insurance Authority can take up the cost of the dialysis. So we looked at certain indicators. So the first thing we did was to look at the prevalence rates of people suffering with kidney disease in the country, or end-stage kidney disease. We got 2 research papers. One put it at 24 people per million population. The other put it at 38.8 per million population, so basically 39. So in doing, it's just a simple calculation. So if 24 is to a million, how many in terms of 33 million population will we get? So when we did that, we got around 800 or 804. So we put it around 800. Then we looked at the 39, that is the 38.8. We look at the 39 people per million population. And when we did that, we got about 1,200 and over. So we looked at the prevalence as between 800 to about 1,200 as the number of people suffering from this end-stage kidney disease.
Right.
Now, if you look at our actual, which is the 400 that we got, now Parliament has already approved 4,914 as the cost of dialysis in the country, so we cannot go above. So we use the 400 and you multiply that by the 490 by the 8 sections that we offering. That gives you about 1.5 million per month for the 400. Then when you just suppose that to 12 months, you get about 18 point something. Then we rounded that up to about 20 million. Then in modeling, you use scenarios. So we went to, what about when you start and the number doubles? So we added another 400. So it became 800 for the second scenario. So 800 by the 490 by the 8 sessions gives you about 3.2 million. When you just suppose that and multiply that by 12 months, you get about 39.6 million, which is about 40 million.
Monthly.
So the second scenario, we put it at 40 million.
Yeah.
Then you look at the third scenario. The third scenario is, what about if you start and it's 3 times the number of the actual, which is about 1,002. So you multiply the 1,002 by the 490 by 8 sections, you get 4.7 million per month. When you multiply that by 12, you will get 56.4 million. So we rounded that up to about 57 million. So if you look at the prevalence, as I indicated initially, which is even the 24 to the 39 patients, which was between the 800 and 1,002, it still corresponds with the actual scenarios that we have used. So regardless of the situation, we've modeled it to minimum and maximum,
right,
looking at between 400 to 1,002 patients.
Okay.
And we can now confirm that the NHIS will need a minimum of about 20 million to 57 million annually for this dialysis program.
Are you confident that...
At,
okay, you land on your point and I'll come in.
Yeah, so when we looked at it, then we look at where would we get this funding from?
Mm-hmm.
You remember initially I told you that Parliament approved some funds for us and we leveraged on our corporate social responsibility. In fact, the funding of the pilot was unique. We did what we call the global budget. So we gave the global budget to some of the facilities or those facilities partaking in the pilot to spend. As we speak now, they've not even been able to spend the monies we gave them. So, which means that we still have some balance left. We have about 2 million left because we budgeted for about 4.4 million and they've not even been able to use the 2 million. So, which means that if we start on the 1st of December to roll out, we will still have about 2.2 million to play with. Then in our 2025 budget on vote of accounts, at the end of the currently, the finance minister has allocated about 2 billion for the next 3 months for us, from January to March. What this means is that we're getting about 600 million per month, or just above 600 million. So if you just suppose that to 12 months, our budget is supposed to increase from 6 billion to about 8-point-something billion. Now, so that's the first scenario we did. So there's no problem in terms of sustainability or anything. Then we looked at the second model, which is...
Doc, if I may just...
Can you hear me now?
If I may just interject. This is Benjamin. You say there's no... That was actually going to be... Can you hear me, Doc?
Wait, Benjamin, let me finish with my presentation so that you can come in, because I'm here to give you a very important
We don't have that much time. That's part
you.
of why I am interjecting, but you go ahead.
Okay, but that's point. Let me complete that point because that's very important.
Right.
So we looked at the second scenario in terms of the funding source. Then we noted that we are capped at 20%. So if you are capped at 20% and you use that in modeling, our current budget is 6.8. So what this means is that it's simple calculation, 20 over 100 by the 6.8, that gives you about 1.3 billion more money coming in. So in 2025, regardless of the situation, if you look at both manifestos of MPP and NDC, we know that 1.3 billion will be coming in. So with this, we are confident that it is sustainable and we will be able to fund dialysis with other provision of equipment as well. Thank you.
So my question was on precisely that, financial sustainability. You are saying that per these permutations and also feeding into the manifesto promises of the two major parties, it means this should, by and large, be covered. Is that to say that if, regardless of which administration comes into power, if this is not handled, you would be surprised, that you would think there's been a glitch in the system?
Sorry, your question again.
I am saying that per these projections you've just put there, you'll get some 1.36 billion or so coming into the kitty. Would you then be surprised if either one of these political parties, let's assume it's the MPP or it's the NDC, and we are not able to follow through on this beat of paying for kidney-related issues for free? Would that surprise you? Would you say there's a problem with the system?
Well, once we add it to our benefit package, no government can take it off. And let me tell you something. The fact of the matter is that's why I gave you the two scenarios of the funding. And I've looked at, like I said, we looked at we can do internal, obviously, internal rearrangement of our budget, as long as our primary aim is to pay claims and our primary aim is to look after the vulnerable. So once we have actually looked at the numbers and we believe that we can fund it, we will be able to fund. And this will be added to our claims budget. And I gave you how internally we can juxtapose that to obviously what will also happen in future. So all that I'm saying, regardless of the two scenarios, we will have money to fund without any problem, and it will be sustained.
Let me just a quick follow-up point. So if I asked you this, if in the current form, if we hold all things constant, let's assume no population increments and all of that, and we hold everything constant for 10 years, you're saying we should be able to do this for 10 years, holding everything constant as it is now?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, we did that. We did the projections as well. And this is what I'm telling you. So if you look at our main source of funding, it's from the NHIL, okay? So as long as taxes are performing, then you expect to get more money. And this is what has been happening. That's why I was able to give you that. I was able to tell you that from next year, our budget will increase, regardless of the situation, to about 8-point-something billion.
All right, thank you, Doug. So, before we let you go, though, starting 1st December, those who are going to be benefiting from this policy, what do they need? What is required of them before they get access to this free dialysis treatment?
Oh, thank you. So we are preparing so hard in such a way that everyone who deserves to benefit from this will obviously get the service. But as you know, dialysis is a specialized disease. So we have some centers that will be providing this service. So we have currently listed about 40 of these centers that our patients will be able to go through. And we are engaging them on Tuesday in such a way across the country, in such a way that they will provide this service for our clients.
So the fallout from that meeting is, you know, and letting them understand where they'll get access to the free dialysis and what else would be coming out of that meeting.
Yes, so we will give it, we'll be detailing them with a plan, and also bear in mind, like I said, the pilot, so it's just continuing. So it's not something that is going to start new. So at least we have a base. So all we're doing is that we're going to meet with them with the implementation plan and how they will claim their monies, and because we'll be adding on new facilities as well. And this includes public and private, because bear in mind, NHIS, we credential private facilities as well.
Yeah.
So we've done the assessments and we know which facilities will be carrying out this dialysis from the 1st of December.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Dacosta Abuaji. That's the CEO for the National Health Insurance Authority. And we're looking forward to the fallout from that meeting tomorrow. Right about now, we have to cross over to Agbogbloshi, Old Fadama, where a fire outbreak, which happened last night, has left some residents there homeless with properties lost. My colleague Adobia Sare is live on the ground and reports. Adobia, what can you report?
Right, sweetie. Just last night, around 8:30 p.m. to 9 p.m., there was a fire outbreak here at Agbogbloshi, Old Fadama. That's Bola top down, right? And most of the structures here are wooden. So the fire, which I'm told started from this place you are seeing right behind me, quickly spread because of the direction of the wind. It has totally brought down the structure. You can hardly tell if there was even a structure here before, because the fire has reduced everything down to ashes. Now this here is the man who used to occupy the structure until last night when the fire brought everything down. According to him, he was asleep, and it's still unclear how the fire started, but we'll hear from him. Sir, please, what's your name and what can you tell us about this fire outbreak?
Please, my name is Abdulaziz Tahidu. I was asleep yesterday night. Unexpected, no, it's like a dream. I wake up, I stood up, I saw that, oh, fire is burning. As I stood up, I ran, I saw that, oh, it's true, fire is burning. Then I went inside my room. I shouted fire, fire, fire. No one came to help. I said, help. So me too, I went to carry my fire quencher. I tried to help myself, but still, I stuck my children and my siblings and things, they should go outside. Everybody went outside, and there were the people that were fetching the water for me to do it, to quench the fire, but still we couldn't. No helper. The people that come to fire service will come to Kokok fire service. No one respond. After that, me too. Before we call fire service finish, this place already burned. And
Okay, so you don't know how this fire started, right?
no.
And the fire service people were not able to detect what it is?
Yes, because I called them that time. No one received.
Okay, so we'd like to talk to more residents I spoke to earlier. There's this man who has lost about 800,000. That's according to him, because people were saving with him. People were saving their monies with him, as well as his money he had himself. So all of these places have been destroyed by the fire, because most of the structures here were made out of wood. So according to them, the direction of the wind is what caused the fire to spread so quickly. And the only thing that helped was this wall right here, which served as a barrier and helped them control the fire. So, sir, please come.
Come here.
So I'd like to talk to this gentleman right here. What's your name?
My name is Mohammed Baba Amin.
Okay, so Mohammed said he has lost a lot of money in this fire because he used to keep people's monies as well. Can you tell us more about it?
Yeah. I think if I did not keep this kind of business for long, almost 7 to 8 years now, as I started saving people's money here. And the first time I came here, I think the area was in need of something like place to be saving finance, because all the structures surrounding are made up by wooden structures. So I decided that then if so I was doing mobile money, then let me attach the savings such a way that I can help a lot of people by keeping money inside the wooden structure. So this is not the first time of fire outbreak here. It has been happening since a lot, but likely it has never affected us like this time around what has happened to us.
So how much have you lost? Can you tell us exactly?
Money that has lost is almost getting to 800,000 above. But the other store, we couldn't take anything out of the store, so that one, everything has got bent. So what we need is that we need the government to support us, to help us, because this thing that has happened to us, no one was expecting that certain thing will happen. And so far as it has happened, we'll give everything to God. And our appeal is going to the government to look on us and help us, because we have nothing to do again. Even where to sleep, we don't have where to sleep. So we are appealing to the government. We are on our knees, talking to the government to help us, because without his help, we don't know what to do again.
Okay, there are so many other residents here who have been deeply affected by this fire outbreak. They have lost their property, they have lost money. They do not know where to sleep tonight. According to reports, nobody has died. Yes, there's been no casualty. There were some speculations that a toddler had lost her life, but according to other people here, someone rescued her before the fire got to their place. And so this is what has happened this morning. So many people are nicely dressed and gone to work, and this is what residents of Agbogbloshie, Old Fadama, have to endure. They're still packing some of the things. So many of them have nothing at all to take. A few people got 1 or 2 doors, but most of them have nothing at all. The fire has reduced everything to ashes. Back to you in the studio, Ben, from Agbogbloshie, Old Fadama here in Accra. My name is Adobe Asari.
Well, some interesting dynamics there. I know Adobe will bring us more on that beat, but I am curious. This gentleman who says 800,000 plus has been lost, I'm wondering whether he was keeping the physical cash with him. That just beats my mind. I'm not so sure what the situation was, because you can bank, and then when people need, I don't know what the dynamics are, but I don't engage in this business, so maybe I don't know enough.
Did she say if the Ghana National Fire Service was there, or they called and they didn't reach me? If so, what number did they call? Because every time there's a fire outbreak, I've listened to Alex say so many times that they don't actually call the fire service. They're just shouting fire, 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 and then nobody actually knows what to do. But be aware.
But he suggested, the gentleman she spoke to first, I think, whose house or whose structure got burnt, they made a point about calling the fire service at some point.
All right. Well, that's what we have for now. We'll take a quick break, and when we return, the conversations will begin on the AM show. Please stay. You're watching the AM show on Joy News. Right before we get into our next belt of conversation, I want to tell you about Medicus Hospital, a modern healthcare facility built with your recovery in mind, spacious wards built with your family in mind, a warm and caring pediatric unit built with your children in mind. And we've assembled some of the brightest minds in medicine, led by Dr. Ya Osafo, the drive time doctor, to serve you. And we offer general medical services as well as specialist services in plastic surgery, obstetrics and gynecology, child health, urology, psychiatry, and eye care. Additionally, we offer a comprehensive medical diagnostic service encompassing endoscopy, medical laboratory services, x-rays, and scans. There is also a 24-hour pharmacy that ensures you will always receive efficacious, safe, and affordable medicines. And we bring you the most powerful medicine of all time, simple human kindness and empathy. And we take pride in holding ourselves to the highest attainable standards. Plus, we accept all forms of payment, including from private health insurance companies. Where do you locate Medicus Hospital? At number 10 Kingshaw Street near Shalibuche School Junction, or you can simply call 0501 477 340. Or reach us on social media at all social media platforms at Medicus GH. Medicus Hospital, a place of healing. Now, the last time you heard about the Energy Commission, it was on that high school's Renewable Energy Challenge. This morning, I've been joined in the studio for a conversation on something entirely different. In the studio with me this morning is Madam Sheila Andan, Communications Officer for the Energy Commission, as well as Mr. Frederick Kenapia, Deputy Director for the Renewable Energy at the Energy Commission. Sheila and Frederick, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
I want to start with you. Yeah, I'm glad you're here too. Yeah. And I remember Benes because there was a lot of engagement ahead of the Renewable Energy Challenge. And eventually when they won, I remember celebrating them, the students here in the studio. So it's good to have you back. Yes. But I want to start with you, Sheila. Maybe a refresher in our memories, what exactly the Energy Commission is about, and then we'll segue into what the interview is about this morning.
Right. So simply put, the Energy Commission is the technical regulator of energy resources in Ghana. And by that, I mean natural gas, electricity, and renewable energy. What we also do is that we give advice to the Minister of Energy concerning issues of energy. Yes, we also run various flagship programs, and that includes the School Challenge, which we've just mentioned, the Drive Electric Initiative. We have the Energy Efficiency and Promotion. Right. And so, latest to add to this list is the Energy Academy, which we are launching tomorrow.
So that's what I wanted to throw to Frederick. You want to tell us, or give us the brief about what the Energy Academy is. And I know there is an Energy Forum in there. So give us a comprehensive brief on the Energy Academy and the Energy Forum over there.
Okay, so thank you very much and good morning to everybody. So basically, over the years, we know Energy Commission has built its capacity and it has become one of the beacon energy institutions in Africa. And over the period, we get the delegation from African countries coming to learn about how we went about the development of our policies, regulatory instruments, and other promotional activities. You know, we are running the wiring program, local content, renewable energy, license integration, energy efficiency, and then technical regulation in general. Secondly, we've also seen that we are churning out energy professionals. They go on retirement and they become so much resourceful to the African continent. So we are consolidating all these gains by establishing a platform where we can structure, in a structure-wise, deliver certain kind of cutting-edge training to certain energy professionals
within the African continent, even specifically also in Ghana. And we know some people travel to abroad to just go and learn about certain energy courses, and they use Ghana as examples and so on. So the idea is that instead of traveling outside the continent, we can have that institute here, and then we can bring the professional experts within the field to give a tailor-made solution oriented towards Africans' problem. And that is what we are seeking to launch tomorrow at 9:30. And
tomorrow
then within it,
where?
At Energy Commission. You know, we have a newly constructed net zero or nearly zero energy eco-friendly building. We just commissioned last 2 weeks.
Okay.
Where within certain natural environment, you can have certain kind of learning done.
So that's where the launch will be.
That's where the launch will be.
But I'm curious to know, these courses that you talk about, are they online courses, or they'll be offered at the academy in terms of an institution, a physical place where people go, you onboard, you intake like admissions and all that? How does it work? What are the modalities there? Do you apply, then you get admitted, and then you go through a series of courses, and then you graduate? Is that how it works?
Right. So at the Energy Academy, we run a hybrid program. We do online courses and then in person, depending on programs that you go for. Distance is not a barrier when it comes to the Energy Academy.
Right.
No matter where you are in Ghana or even within Africa, once you go onto the website and you identify a program that you'd like to undertake, you can just register following the instructions. Okay. And then that is it.
Okay. Yeah. Frederick, just shed more light on the forum itself, the Energy Forum. What is that specifically about?
You know, over the years, about 30 years ago, we started a power sector or the energy sector reform, meaning hitherto, before the reform, only one institution, VRA, for example, the Volta River Authority, was doing generation and transmission of power. We didn't have any regulatory institutions in place. Only state agencies were into the power sector, the generation and supply, and so on. So the power sector reform brought certain dynamics, introduction of independent power producers, privatization of some of the kind of the stream, and then it introduced Energy Commission, instituted the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, brought about even the great company to look at transmission of power and other things. So what we seek to do is that this Energy Forum series is just the initial, the maiden one.
Right.
We subsequently want to look at, we identify a problem in the sector and then zero into it. But this time, we are looking at 30 years of the power sector reform, the challenges and the lessons learned and the way forward. Okay. So we look at what has happened, why did we even institute the power sector reform, what are the challenges so far, what can we learn from what has happened, and what are the kind of initiatives and innovative ways of delivering energy services within the spectrum that we are talking about.
Okay, so this is happening at the launch tomorrow as well?
Yes.
Okay, so tell us a little bit, give us more details in terms of who can attend or participate for the launch event, any known persons we are expecting, and what really will be the X factor tomorrow. Sheila.
All right, so for the guests, for the special honor, for the special guest, we're having the Honorable Herbert Kramper, Minister of Energy. For the keynote speaker, we have Engineer Joseph Emisa Arthur, who is a former CEO of Bui Power Authority. We also have the guest of honor being Professor Rita A. Dixon, who is the Vice Chancellor at Ken UST. Of course, our guest speakers for the forum will be Dr. Alfred Ofosu Ahenkra, who is a past Executive Secretary of the Energy Commission. We also have Mr. Michael Opam, also a past Executive Secretary of the Energy Commission. And then
so
we have...
like you have a lineup of energy gurus.
Energy experts, exactly.
All right.
And
so
then,
Frederick, let me give you the final word because we have to go. Okay. Speak directly to our audience, invite them, let them know how important this is for you. You have the final word.
All right, so this is a very unique opportunity to get insight into certain kind of cutting-edge training. So you have to be part of the Energy Academy, which we are launching tomorrow at 9:30. Because of space, many people want to attend, so it's restricted by invitation. However, we are leveraging on all the online channels, multimedia channels, and Energy Commission social media channels. Please glue to these channels and watch and participate in the Energy Forum. Come with your questions and see how best we can help address the current challenges that we are having, and then cut some kind of way or pathway of even including climate change issues in our energy delivery service and so on. So please don't miss tomorrow at 9:30 on all our social media channels, or at Energy Commission, the nearly zero energy building at the Energy Commission.
Is it nearly zero or net zero?
Okay, so nearly
very
zero.
brief.
Nearly zero.
Okay.
Nearly zero.
Nearly zero. Okay.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much, Frederick Kenapia. He's Deputy Director for Renewable Energy at the Energy Commission. And we also have Sheila Andan. She's a Communications Officer at the Energy Commission. Join me for this conversation. Remember, tomorrow, across all social media platforms, join them for the launch of the Energy Academy, where they'll also have an energy forum. All things relating to energy that you want to take note of. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having us.
All right. There's still a lot coming your way. Don't go away yet. We'll be right back. You're still watching the AM show on Joy News. And for our last conversation today, let's talk about Big Chef, good meals. Oh, that's for... Well, in the studio with me for this conversation is Michelle Ajeku. Michelle is the host of Big Chef Tertiary. We also have in studio Nana Anefi Mensah Elvis. He's accountant for Salty Water, one of our sponsors for Big Chef Tertiary. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Michelle, what's the response for this time? Big Chef?
Big Chef Tertiary, the kitchen has no boundaries.
Hey, I've been watching you, Michelle. You're doing well.
Thank you.
But let me start with Anefi. Okay, Anefi, thank you for joining us. You're one of our sponsors, and your company is Salty Water. Introduce us to Salty Water. What are you about?
Yes, thank you, madam. Thank you for listening to me, for having me, and good morning to your cherished listeners. Yes, so Salty Water, we are Salty Water because we deal in seafoods, fresh seafoods, quality and hygienic meats and proteins, anything proteins. So when it comes to the hospitality industry, we are one of the leading suppliers in the hospitality industry. We do serve the restaurants, the catering services, and then for the households as well.
So everything seafood.
Yes, please.
Think of Salty Water.
Think of Salty Water.
Michelle, have you tasted any of their seafoods yet? In the kitchen? Yeah. But tell me, how has the season been? How has Big Chef Tertiary been?
Season 2 of Big Chef Tertiary has been nothing short of extraordinary. I mean, from episode 1, we've seen how the contestants have brought on their A games, pushing beyond boundaries. And I mean, there's been a lot of twists, suspense as well, drama, and of course, we've seen some amazing culinary masterpieces as well. So it's been good.
Okay.
It's been good.
But Anefi, what about you? What inspired you to come on board as a sponsor for this year?
Yes, so our business, Salty Water, was built on the passion of culinary arts and skills. My boss, Mr. Samuel Makadi, he's a big cook. I mean, a very professional chef himself. So he has a passion for cooking. So when the organizers came, we saw that, wow, we share the same vision, and also we felt the need to sponsor a Big Chef.
Okay, I'll come back to you on if you're getting your money's worth. But Michelle, I know that the season finale is right ahead. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so this year, Kumasi is hosting the finale of Big Chef. So what we did was to ballot for the finalists. So they are going to ballot, and then we know where we're having the finale. And when we did, Kumasi picked up. So Kumasi is hosting us, and it's just this Sunday, on the 1st of December. Yeah, so we're all heading to a safe room. And well, I mean,
it's live, right?
Yeah, it's
yes,
going to be live.
It's
going to be live. At 4 p.m., we're live on television. So, yeah, we're going to see a whole lot of twists and all of that. But I can confidently say that this season's finale probably would be one of, one to remember, because all the finalists are up. I mean, they're on with their, they're up there, and everybody's ready, and they all have something special to bring. And I mean, we've seen how challenging the season has been, and we've seen how they've been able to come come out of all of those challenges. So I cannot wait to see how they're going to maneuver their weight again on the day of the finale.
If you need an extra judge, my palates are very good with tasting.
Oh yeah, that I know.
For you. But then if you tell me, how do you measure the impact of your sponsorship, and do you have plans to return next season?
Yes, a big yes. And I'll say, in terms of the sponsor, now on the whole, so far so good. It's been amazing. We've been able to meet ourselves on an arm's length based transaction, and then I'll say it's been relatively measurable.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, and we're looking forward to partnering with you again next year. Michelle, I'll give you the final word in 30 seconds.
All right. So before I leave, I just want to encourage viewers that keep voting for your favorite school. If you're an alumni, and even if you're still schooling there. So we have Kumasi Technical, we have Koforidua, we have Takrade and Ho. And so all you need to do is to vote for them, and the code is *711*60#. *711*60#. Your vote is 40, and then the judges get 60.
Okay.
Yeah. But then you still have a chance to help them, win the ultimate.
Big Chef Tertiary, the kitchen has no boundaries. Thank you. And that there is the host of Big Chef Tertiary. She's done it for 3 years so far. And
it's actually been 2 years, but 4 seasons.
4 seasons,
yeah.
Yes. You're doing amazing, Michelle.
Thank you.
Michelle Ajekumbe. We also have Nana Anefi Mensa Elvis, accountant with Salty Water, one of the sponsors for this season's Big Chef Tertiary. Thank you, and I wish you the very best. And stay tuned, because on the 1st of December on Joy Prime, they're going live for the season finale. You don't want to miss it. Folks, that will be the show for today, Monday edition of the AM show, the best breakfast show on the blog. Benjamin and I did this, Benjamin Akakpo, and I'm Sweetie Abochi. Stay for Joy News Desk with Faustina Safo. Have a good morning.